From what actually happens to chomos inside prison to what happens when you drop the soap, these are 38 prison stories that'll make you feel uneasy.
At 38, prison has layers of cruelty, but few things are more disturbing than how certain predators are treated.
Booty bandits in prison. Yes, they're fucking scary, right? Now, knowing that convicts hate rapists, child molesters, pedophiles, anyone who hurts women and children in these sick, demonic ways, gets stabbed, extorted, beaten, killed, whatever you can think of. The officers help, inmates, everybody goes after them. Hits are put on them. They don't have a long time to live. And if they do, their life is miserable. They're not eating, they're getting poisoned. It's treachery. But the sad part about it is these booty bandits a lot of times get housed alone, in 24-hour lockdown and DC confinement. And what they'll do, the corrections officers, the corrupt ones, say they have a problem with an inmate. For example, Ricky Martin. Look the story up on Google. He was more confused than a billy goat on AstroTurf. He was in his early 20s. He was trying to be a gangster one day, trying to go to church the next, but he would mouth off to the officers and they didn't like him. So what do? They get him put in the cell with this notorious rapist, booty bandit, killer who's not supposed to have a cellmate to teach him a lesson. They walk away for 30, 45 minutes. Ricky Martin, who goes home in 3 months in his early 20s, gets beaten, raped, and ultimately killed because they wanted to teach him a lesson. But don't get it twisted. The worst thing that I've ever seen happen to a booty bandit was this. He was trying to extort somebody, threatening them with the words, trying to beat him up, and basically saying, look, you're going to bring this dope in and have your girlfriend's friend bring me dope in also. And the dude was so smooth mentally that this booty bandit was trying to extort that he was like, all right, man, all right. But little did the booty bandit know that this dude was reaching out to his girl on a cell phone, telling her what's going on, and said, listen, when you make the balloons and that girl gives it to him, make sure there's holes in them. And what do I mean by that? So when you have visitation, people will get Skittles or M&Ms and they'll get balloons, tiny little balloons that are the same colors. And a girl will go into the bathroom, pull it out of, wherever she keeps it concealed, and either have it hidden in her hand or her mouth and, kiss him or hand it to him, and he'll act like he's eating the M&Ms and swallow them and then get to the dorm and poop them out and make the money. Well, what he told his family to do and the girl to do is when she goes into the bathroom to take them out and put tiny little holes in them, just enough to where when he swallows them, they'll open up in his body. It was heroin, K2, all types of stuff. I think they even poisoned one. She comes out of the bathroom. I think she had him in her hand or something like that. It was a corrupt prison, so the guards really weren't looking for anything because they were part of the play too. They were getting paid to look the other way. She hands them to him as he's eating the M&Ms, and he's popping one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And they bust open in his belly purposely. And within 45 minutes of that visit, dude starts having a seizure, ultimately dies right there in the visitation floor. That's the art of war. Be strong when you're weak and be weak when you're strong. Then you have one of my closest friends, I consider a brother, named Spawn. If you haven't heard his full story, go check it out lower on my page. He basically got tried by a booty bandit. Dude was doing it, just literally grooming him for the next step. They get transferred to the same prison. He ends up catching the guy in the chow hall, stabs the booty bandit so much his intestines are coming out. I was right there, blood. I can still smell the blood to this day. He went in, Spawn, with 3 years, and now has 27 more years to do and doesn't regret it for a second, because you're either going to be a victim or a warrior in prison. But you also have the organizations that hate these motherfuckers. You can't be part of an organization if you're a booty bandit. If you have any type of weird shit like that going on, you not only cannot be part of it, but if they find out that you claim their organization and you're doing this type of stuff, it's mandatory death sentence. So what they do is they tell them to go collect money from a weaker dude, because obviously the guy is going to be scared to death. You know, a weaker guy that owes money to an organization is already scared, and you're sending a booty bandit, he's going to pay that money immediately. And what they'll do is they'll collect the money, and then they'll step to the dude that cleared his debt out of pure fear of getting raped or even worse, and say, listen, we're going to get this dude away from you. And the booty bandit has no idea that this is being a double play. And he'll be like, please, please, man, he won't stop. And what they'll do is they'll gain the booty bandit's trust again, call him over and say, we need you to do another mission. What is it this time? And they'll tell him to go here at this time and do this with that person and get this money. But really, they'll have about 3 or 4 inmates waiting. They've been paid to hit this dude up and stab him, slice him, beat him, ultimately, and try and kill him. So it's not respected. It's disgusting. But the problem is the COs use it as a way to discipline inmates they don't like, or just hurt inmates they don't like. And they're predators. They go after the weak. You show any weakness to them, they're coming for you. And in the worst way possible. But what happened to Ricky Martin was probably the worst thing that I've ever seen in prison, as far as just a tragedy. That man went home in 3 months, and those officers put him in the cell with the most notorious rapist, killer, locked him in the cell in DC confinement, 24-hour lockdown, and walked away for 30 minutes while this man was raped and beaten to death. It's a dirty game on the inside. But stay out, stay free. Ugh.
Here's the sad truth. While many molesters and rapists are punished severely inside, booty bandits often live with a kind of twisted privilege. They're given food, respect, and in some cases, even protection.
And if that makes your skin crawl, the next story shows what happens when cruelty turns into silence, and silence, it turns into violence.
At 37, prison pushes people past breaking points, and sometimes the only way an inmate feels heard is through shocking violence.
You showed me a news article earlier about this guy that was at this prison camp with you. Can you tell us about that?
So when I get transferred from Camp Cupcake, which what they called Avon Park when I got off the bus, Camp Cupcake, I get off the bus and the guy's like, dude, we're on lockdown. And I was like, for what? And he said, we just had an MIP. And I was pretty hip to prison at this time, but I still didn't know what an MIP was. So I was like, you know, at this point, I've been in, I did 7 years, you know, calendar years. So, but I didn't know what an MIP was. And he said, I said, what's an MIP? And he said, it's a murder in prison. And I was like, really? What happened? So he said that there's a guy that he was getting sexually assaulted by his roommate, and he was trying to get out of the cell. In Florida, if you're trying to get out of a cell, like, they're not going to move you or give you a bunk change unless you snitch. So this guy wouldn't snitch, but every day he's going through it where this guy's trying to, you know, sexually assault him and stuff like that. So anyways, he waits for him to get high on K2, and when the guy gets high on K2, he ends up stabbing him to death. And every day that the guard was walking around, when he was trying to move, the guard would be like, oh, I can't hear what you're saying. I can't hear what you're saying. So he stabs him to death. He cuts his ear off, gouges his eyeballs out, puts his eyeballs in a coffee cup, puts his ear on a necklace, wraps his body in a sheet, and then goes to the chow hall with the ear on the necklace and says to the Sarge, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Talking into the ear.
That's fucking nuts.
So crazy. They tell me this story, right?
And you probably can't believe this. You're like, no.
Nah, no way this is happening in prison. And
because that was my reaction when you told me earlier.
Yeah. Like, literally, I had to pull the article up for people
and
to
it's
see.
Literally there. The headlines are, man puts an ear on a necklace.
Yeah, like, it literally happened.
So are you, like, scared when you get there, when you hear this story?
Yeah, well, and then come to find out, it didn't even happen just then. Like, they were just trying to scare me up. It had happened a little bit before that, but...
Imagine being assaulted daily, begging the officers for help. and being told, "We can't hear you." That silence from authority created a monster. Crazy. And while this story shows the extreme consequences of silence, the next reveals how a single unpaid debt can echo louder than any sentence. At 36, sometimes the most dangerous part of prison isn't serving time, it's owing time to the wrong people.
I lost a buddy of mine. We in the dish room one day, laughing. He getting ready to go home in 10 days. They move him across the yard. About a week later, I get word he's got some debts on the yard. He's supposed to, pay up. The CO let these guys on. Boom. He's like, "Hold on, bro," and he goes in the corner. They start jumping him. You hear him? He's like, why y'all do that to me? Why you do that to me? One of the guys was like, "Man, stop following me." And he didn't stop following him. Nobody interjected. Nobody got in between. The guy turned around, hit him twice in the chest with his knife. This was a Saturday. You're supposed to go home Monday. Came out about 10 minutes later, started calling his name for visitation. His family had came up there to see him, so they couldn't find him. He leaned against the fence. When they tapped the fence, he falls over. He's blue. It's over with. So they locked the compound down. They tell his family that, visitation's canceled. There's been an incident, in the prison, but they didn't tell him it was their people. 2 days before he went home, over a 5-inch TV, black and white, might have been color.
This wasn't just one man's tragedy. It's a reminder that in prison, release dates don't protect you. A debt is a death sentence if it's not paid. Families on the outside count down to freedom, but inside, the clock can stop at any moment.
And if dying over a debt sounds brutal, the next story shows how violence can erupt for no reason at all. Nothing but raw rage.
At 35, sometimes prison violence isn't about debt, gangs, or survival. It's about pure rage boiling over.
All right, the craziest thing I've ever seen working in a men's prison as a female CO. I would like to point out I am not a female CO anymore. Just get that out of the way. I got a request to do this. I don't know what it is with y'all in prison videos, but y'all eat this crap up. So let's talk about it. It was like 4 in the morning. Okay, get a call on the radio. Burkett, I need you to come to C-Dorm. Hold the phone. I'm not allowed in C-Dorm. I'm a female. Females aren't allowed in confinement dorms. At least at the prison I worked at. I'm like, why would I be going to C-Dorm? I even said back into the radio, I was like, "You do know this is Burkett, right?" He goes, "Yeah, C-Dorm." I was like, what did I do? I got worried. I was like, did I do anything? I'm like walking to C-Dorm, because it's a very long walk. I'm walking and I'm like, did I do anything? I'm not going to do anything. What would I be in trouble for? So I get there. He's like, "Come with me." I'm like, what has happened? And I was like, did I do something? And he's like, no, I just need you to handle this. I was like, okay. So we walk up there and we go into a cell, up the stairs, go into a cell, blood everywhere. I'm talking blood on the walls, blood on the bed, blood on the toilet, blood in the sink, blood on the floor. I'm like, the heck happened here? There's a dead inmate and a live inmate. I'm like, still don't know why I'm there, right? So I'm like, what happened? And my captain, who by the way was like a 70-year-old redneck, he's so funny. He's like, "Well, you see that dead inmate right there?" I was like, "Well, yeah, hard to miss." He was like, "Oh, you see that live inmate right there?" I was like, "Again, hard to miss." And he was like, "Well, so let me just tell you what happened. The dead inmate was a chomo. If you don't know, chomo's child molester. Dead inmate was a chomo. Live inmate was SAing the chomo. And the live inmate wanted the chomo to go take a trip downtown, if you know what I'm saying. Chomo didn't want to do that. He got sick of it. So he bit the inmate's love sack off. If you catch my drift by that. Let's just not beat around the bush. The chomo bit the other inmate's balls off. He spat one out. Which, by the way, I didn't know that was like a thing. But yeah. No, he did. And then that inmate got real mad and he beat the chomo to death. So if you're ever wondering, do people that hurt kids really get punished in prison? They might live through their sentence. They might live. Some don't. Some do. I think it really just depends. But, I mean, he had enough of it. So he was like, I'm going to take care of this. And then that inmate took care of him. And if you're wondering, well, why were you in there? I was wondering the same thing. I was like, that's a cool story and all. Be sure to tell the kids before bedtime. But what am I doing in here? He's like, well, I need you to draw the paperwork on it. We gonna need a DR. A disciplinary report? What? Sir, what would you like me to do here? That's one thing. When I worked at the prison, that I was my captain's little paper girl. I did all the paperwork. Because he didn't want me anywhere around the inmates, really. So, if you were wondering, do child molesters really get hurt in prison? Let me assure you they do. They get about near tortured. And if a good guy that has kids is having a bad day and he wants to take it out on somebody, he's going to take it out on the chomo. 10 times out of 10. And let me also just say, and I can say this because I don't work there anymore, we going to look the other way. They just, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a chomo? That's a shame. You guys want to go get lunch?
This moment shows just how fast things can spiral inside. One request ignored, one fight that escalates, and suddenly it turns into brutality beyond imagination. In prison, even the smallest spark can explode into deadly violence. And once it starts, there's no referee, no pause button, no one to stop it.
And while rage can ignite instantly, sometimes survival depends on anticipating danger.
At 34, in prison, weakness isn't just noticed, it's exploited.
You know, in YA, like you said, the dudes are soft. They were getting raped, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy because, you know, I was in the cell with a guy and he told me he had already been to CYA and he was going back on a violation. And he was saying, man, this dude used to slide down in the dorm underneath and he'd be raping. He said one time he got tired of hearing it. He just got up and started beating the dude, just beating him.
Yeah.
And he said, because this dude was in there raping. It's like, dude, how sick is that, man?
It's like I said, that's you know, that's the worst for me, just hearing that. There's just something about a man or a boy screaming. It's a different kind of scream that you'll never forget. God. Man, you know, and I grew up in a nice, you know, just, you know, suburban, nice area, you know. I didn't grow up around anything crazy. Granted, my dad was a biker, you know, but I had two good loving parents. I didn't grow up around anything crazy. So for me to go from a normal, just a skateboarder, you know, kid going to punk shows, to getting locked up and witnessing this stuff, man, it was a culture shock.
How are the guards with that? Like, would the kids, like something like that, would that get reported or nobody would say nothing, or they keep, I mean, how was that dealt with?
There wasn't enough guards. It was understaffed. And, you know, that's the best thing I can think of, man, because, and that's the other thing, there's not really any PC there. You know?
You ain't nowhere to hide.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide, man. And then there was, the best you could get to was what they had, these cottages, and man, there was no heat, no air condition. It was just miserable all the way around, man.
This is the brutal reality. If you come in soft like jelly, someone will take insane advantage of you. It's not about respect. It's about survival, isn't it?
And if that sounds dark, the next story shows the horrors people witness inside, and sometimes no one ain't do nothing about.
At 33, in prison, some horrors happen in plain sight. And to be honest, nobody lifts a finger sometimes. Nobody.
When you actually see somebody get raped, son, when you actually see another man get violated, and I came on the tail end of it, this man was hog-tied and getting fucked in the ass. And inmates is all around him and nobody's saying nothing. It just so happened I walked in to see my cousin Big Mo. And when I go down there, Big Mo said, yo fam, I don't think you want to be down here right now. Now, this is on the midnight tour. Around 12 o'clock, everybody supposed to be in their bed. But back then, the gangsters, the real niggas, played the back of the module area. They played the back to get all the chairs in the back. They'll go to sleep. The officers ain't even challenging them niggas. And when I walked in there, and he said, yo, son, I don't think you want to be back here, cuz. I'm like, what? Now I'm definitely going back there because I don't know if he in trouble. So I'm going to go back there just to make sure he all right. But on my way back there, I look to my right, and I see a blanket moving like this, like a wave. It's going, And I'm like, yo. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? He said, yo, fam, I told you, you don't want to be down here right now. So I turned around and looked, got close, and I hear the I said, oh, shit. Now, you know, whenever he be stroking, it was some stroking going on, nigga, for real. You know? So I went back to the officer, I said, yo, y'all better turn the lights on in this motherfucker, because somebody getting fucked, somebody getting raped, nigga. Yo, Ebo, stop playing. I'm not playing, nigga, let me out. Yo, stay here with us. No, don't stay here with y'all. I don't even belong on this post, nigga. Let me out. Them niggas play me, son. They say, all right. Yo, G, soon when I got to the top of the stairs, them niggas hit the bell. They even let me out the house. They hit the bells. Now I'm walking out, the squad, everybody coming my way, and I'm playing it off like, let me just make down the hall. And the captain said, Ebron, don't you hear the bells? Where you going? I said, yeah, I hear the alarm. Where's it at? He said, Ebron, stop playing. It's where you just left. What's going on? I'm like, yo, I don't know. Come on back here, Ebron. I had to turn around and go back with him. I'm like, oh, shit, these motherfuckers. So I'm like, he said, what's happening? Something happening down there, Ebron? I'm like, I don't know. So I go down there with him. Meanwhile, them assholes still letting go on the floor. You got some shaky dog officers, y'all. I'm gonna tell you. Because somebody told me somebody was getting raped on my terror. I'm going down there real quick. I'm coming back with the captain. These niggas still got the lights out. They ain't even go on the floor yet. Oh, pussy ass. They ain't go on the floor yet.
Imagine witnessing something so brutal. An inmate being assaulted in the dead of night. I'm talking 3 a.m. And everyone around you simply watching. That silence, that refusal to act, says everything about how prison breaks people down to literal bones. And as disturbing as that sounds, the next story reveals how breaking unspoken rules can leave scars that no fight ever could.
At number 32, prison has its own unspoken rules, and breaking them can cost you more than respect.
A little young ass kid on the yard, like 19 years old. He on the yard. We all about to pull up bars. We out there with the OGs. We on some thugging shit. If you working out and you on some gangster shit, we thugging. But this little young, I don't know what he was on. You know, back in when I was growing up, a lot of them kids used to hit the yard on some jerking shit. Like some party shit. Like it's called jerking, where they used to do the little jerking and little party skinny jeans. And they was hitting the yard thinking they was like at Kitty Land. You feel me? So one day we standing by the bars doing pull-ups. One of the little youngsters, I think he was a Crip. You feel me? I don't know if he was from up north. You got different bars. You might have Crips right here, the Bloods right here, the Hispanics, the others. But he was in the Crip line. And he had his little headphones on, and he was doing this little, you a jerk, I know. You a jerk, I know. I'm like looking at the, like, this don't know where he at right now. Then boom, he do a little fart on the yard, like a loud one. And kind of like thinking it was funny, like laughing about it. And I remember the OG that was standing behind him just had a face like I'm finna get this, bro, you feel me? And he kind of like hit him up like, oh, you think that's funny? We call those mating calls. And here, yeah, nigga, a nigga will fuck you in your ass. That's you telling me that it's hot and ready. That's what he telling him in his face on the yard, yelling at him. Hey, you ain't in no kitty jail. You farting in my motherfucking face. That's turning me on. I'm like, oh my God. Like super disrespecting this in front of everybody on the yard. I'm like, God damn. Like where it went from there, you feel me? When we went inside the building, they said that OG stabbed him up, you feel me? I don't know if he took his ass or not, you feel me? But it was a whole nother story that I had witnessed when I was in that, where OG was taking an ass, you feel me? Yeah, bro, like this shit ain't no game, bro. You gonna see all kind of shit, man. You gonna see lady COs walking past, then you might have 10 right here standing in the shower, butt naked, bro.
Inmates don't just enforce discipline with fists or knives. Sometimes it's humiliation that cuts the deepest. And if humiliation leaves a wound deeper than a knife, the next story shows how weakness is preyed upon in ways you can't imagine.
At number 31, in prison, weakness isn't just abused, it's literally destroyed.
I'm in a young age, representing, but he ran across this guy. And when this guy jammed him up and asked him this and that, well, what's this and who is this and boom, 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 little homie didn't know nothing. So they jammed little homie up one time in the cell. It's always gonna be another dude somewhere that's on the same level as the, you know, the big homie. I ain't gonna say big homie was, they big homie was. So they jammed him up in the cell, did what they did to him. I ain't gotta say it, y'all already know. After they got done, they made him leave out the cell and go back to his cell, which was on the second tier. The reason the police was able to find out because, you know, they'll tell you, you can't report that. You better not go tell it. And so the dude was trying to go upstairs to his cell, but when he was going upstairs to his cell, the police was walking behind him to do, you know, just a random check. Well, I guess the police was too late for his random check. As the dude was walking up the steps, man, to get to the second tier, the police noticed feces balls. Now I'm gonna make it sound gruesome so y'all know it's true. Dookie balls. So y'all know this shit's real. This is what you can get yourself into if you go in a penitentiary, especially if you're weak. This can happen to you. I'm not just sitting here blowing hot air, man. I'm trying to stop y'all from making dumb decisions and going there. But as he was walking up the stairs, Dookie Balls was falling out of his pants leg onto the step. The police.
This isn't just about one victim. It's a brutal reminder of how prison strips away humanity. The moment you show weakness, predators see an opportunity. And as predators circle, the next story proves that very first impressions can be the difference between survival or becoming a prey.
Get him. Get him, OG. He gonna get your ass, OG.
At number 30, first impressions in prison can mean the difference between being prey and being respected.
He yelled out, "Fresh booty, B!" Listen, I was scared as hell. You gotta understand something. I was new to prison/jail. I was new to it. I didn't grow up in a juvenile hall or nothing. All of that crap was new to me. So when I checked into the second facility, after I left the first facility, I transferred down to Carolina from Virginia. After I left that facility, I'm in Carolina now. I'm checking in. It's me, a chomo, and another dude that I don't want to, he's from Brooklyn. It was my best friend. I'll leave it at that. He was. We all three of us. We checked in. We got the expedition. We was in we got transferred. It was a 6-hour drive in a Ford Expedition. We get there. All three of us are in line checking in. The dude name is Smith that said it. I know it now because I got to know him after this. He worked in the mess hall. He's going to the mess hall to get ready for the evening chow. I know that because after I've been there, I realized where he was going. So we in the line. The Brooklyn dude, me, and then it's a chomo behind me. So and don't ask me why I didn't smash him out. That was not what I do. It's 1,000 other people that was ready to handle that, and that was willing to lose their good time. But anyway, so he come by, and this dude named Smith. He's from Carolina. The dude was humongous. I'm talking about, you know how people be telling stories about jail, and they exaggerate, like, yeah, he was big, bro. No, this dude was a big upper body, the skinny legs, but his body was so big you ain't look at his legs. So I'm in the line. He came by. He say, "Fresh booty, B." And I'm not gonna lie, to you, I was scared as hell. I was gonna sit there and take it because the chomo was scared, and the dude from Brooklyn he's scared as hell. Tough ass Puerto Rican. So next thing you know, I'm in the line. I'm waiting for the council or whatever to come out and check us in, whatever. I'm going to talk to the fucking therapist, whatever I'm going to do. Next thing you know, I step out of line. I say, "Not this one right here." And I go back in line. But when he said it, he put his head back and he kept on going. So the dude from Brooklyn turned back to him. He's like this, "Yo, shut your mouth, man. You can't be saying that. We just got here." I said, "Shut up, man. You scary as hell." I'm already not vibing with him already. You know what I mean? We no longer best friends. But his problem was he didn't want the dude to think that he said it. You know what I'm saying? Because by that time, the bed was made. I had to lie in it. It's just bottom line. I always think about, what would my mother or my brother do if they seen somebody do this to me? Like, what would they think about? You know, stuff like that. I didn't have kids then, so it would have been different. Like, I would have, shut your ass, but what? I didn't have to make that analogy, but I'm thinking like, what would my brother do that's locked up doing life if he seen this dude say that I didn't do nothing? So, I said, not this one. And long story short, I ended up being in the same dorm as this dude, man. And his name was Smith, and he ended up being a cool dude. And we ended up talking about that day and why he said it. And he said he was just being funny and stuff, trying to scare the new inmates and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because if people say they go to jail and they're not scared, they are lying. Now, if you got somebody that's been there several times, that's the difference. And I don't give a damn if you was a killer in the streets. When you come to jail, in my opinion, you're still going to be kind of nervous. Nervous of the unforeseen. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to go down. And like I told y'all, I'm not a jail dude. But I grew up watching a lot of crime TV, watching a lot of jail. Jail shows was my favorite thing to watch. which is why I do a jail podcast. Shawshank Redemption was my favorite movie. And I'm going to close on this note. No matter how many times I watch Shawshank Redemption, no matter how many times I watch prison or jail documentaries, when you get inside those facilities, none of that crap matters. None of that crap crosses your mind. You're not going to jail thinking about what 1090 Jake said in the video to do if this situation happens. You have no time for that, to think about the movies you've seen, the shows you've seen, how did they react in this situation. You have no, what made me feel good is I seen one of the little white kid like this. This place is like a damn daycare, man. And I was like, oh, well, if he said it's like a daycare, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I took it as a good thing, especially seeing the type of kid he was. Like, well, if you can make it, I can do laps in here. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. This is how I predicted things. And yeah, that was a crazy story. Fresh booty, B. And he had a pimp walk with it. Like, you were like, like Smith was a cool dude. He had swag and everything. Everybody in the dorm liked him. But hey, I appreciate y'all tuning in.
This moment shows how fear is used as a tool. Some inmates posture and play the role of predator only to test newcomers, quite frankly to see if they'll break, freeze, or stand tall. In prison, the very first words you speak can decide whether you're seen as weak or untouchable. And while words can sometimes save you, the next story proves that even the smallest mistake on day one can follow you like a shadow.
At 29, day one in prison is when most people make their biggest mistakes. And sometimes a single word can put your life on the line.
My first day, coming down the walkway shit. This dude, oh, I like that one. He fine as hell. Whole time, nigga, like, he look like, I'm talking about, bro, nigga look like a female, but I know it's a dude. Me being me, not knowing prison rules, you can't call a person a bitch or a in prison.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, nigga, I ain't no one of them, nigga, I ain't no nigga, you. Why'd I do that? So my cousin was in prison, same prison. I'm glad he was dead. I'm glad this nigga, cause ain't no sticks in prison. There ain't no sticks.
Right.
So my cousin was there. He comes, and we in the child hall and shit, cause all the new people, you know what I'm saying, you go to your cell, then you go to child hall, everybody can see you. Motherfucker know you. Soon as your name drop on that list, they know you there before you come.
Yeah.
So ain't no getting around it. So boom, I'm sitting at the table, he come, I'm like, damn, I ain't seen you a long time. You know, if you don't see a long time, they in jail. So that's just what it is. They in jail, bro. If you don't see your people for a long time, they in jail. So he came to me, he's like, bro, what's up? He catching up, whatever. So the dude who I called came up to me. He's like, hey, what's up? Shit you was saying. I said, nigga, fuck you. So my cousin, I don't know how much rank this nigga got. He been in there for 2.5 years, but he came in knocking shit, clearly. Man, this nigga jumped up. He pulled. He had a coat on, and it's hot. I'm like, oh, this nigga had a coat. This nigga pulled out a bad motherfucker. Like a sword, like in the middle in front of the black suits or whatever.
This the gay dude.
It's to the gay dude. Yeah.
Your cousin pulled it out?
On the gay dude.
Okay, got it.
So he was like, oh, you know what the fuck this is, nigga? He walked away. He said, I got y'all. So my cousin knew that the gay dude was a porter. So he get out his room early. He get out 3 o'clock in the morning.
What's a porter?
Porter is the people that like clean up, do the trash and shit. You know what I'm saying? They get like probably extra trays and shit, probably little packs and shit, little extra little snacks and shit. We sat back down. He was like, I'm like, man, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? You know, we talk shit on the court all the time. Like, oh, man, shut your bitch ass up. Woo. He's like, yeah, bro, it ain't one of those. He slid a notebook paper to me with coffee in it. He said, don't go to sleep. So I'm looking like, you mean don't go to sleep? He's like, drink that, you ain't gonna go to sleep. He said, he coming, bro. He said, he coming. He said, make your bed up like you in it. He said, that blue jacket that they gave you, put pillows in it. That red hat that they gave you, put pillows in it. And make it look like you sleeping. He's like, he coming. He gonna try to stab you. He's like, but how your cell, I'm talking about this nigga knew the cell, bro. He knew how the cells were set up and everything. He's like, how your cell set up, when it get dark, it's gonna get dark at a certain spot. Just stay in the corner. As soon as they pop, cause they pop everybody's door at 4, it don't matter if you up or not.
This story shows how fragile survival can be behind bars. Disrespect the wrong person, a single insult, congrats. Now you're a target. Once the threat is made, you never really sleep again. every night becomes a waiting game. And just when words can't shield you, the next story reveals how surviving sometimes depends on instincts sharper than any weapon.
At 28, sometimes surviving prison means you have to rely on skill, instinct, and nerves of steel.
The guy I caught the chain with puts this hit on me. Like they want to try and stab me, right? So it goes around to the other key holders. The fucking guy next to me was a key holder for the Bloods. He's a black guy. Because I kicked that cord over to him, he hit me up through the cell. He's like, hey, he says, is your name Beanie? And I was like, fuck, right? I go back over to the vent, right? And I said, no. and he goes, oh, good. And I'm like, oh, good. What the fuck is this mean, right? And I'm like, hey, I said, what if it was? And he goes, well, is it or not, fucker? And I go, well, it's not Beanie. I go, it's Baney. And he goes, it's the same shit. I go, okay, bro. He's like, hey, I'm gonna let you know. They're gonna pop this door and they're coming for you. And I was like, really? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they're gonna come and get you when this door pops. You're gonna pop this door, you're gonna go to shower, and they're gonna send some guys to come and get you.
Oof.
My other cellie, he knows already. He didn't tell me. In order for that to go down, they have to tell your cellie so your cellie can stay out of the fucking way.
Oh, wow.
So he knows about it, he's known about it, and now he tells me through the wall, and now I know he knows about it. You know what I mean? And I'm living in this room with this guy. So, door pops. My cellie takes off running out of the cell. So I just posted up at the back of the cell, just waiting, you know? And sure as shit, two guys come flying in. One guy flying in trying to stab me. And then we're fucking scrapping, rapping all over the place. Fall out of the cell. We're up the stairs. Fucking push the guy down the stairs. We fall down the stairs. I'm tired as fuck. Like, fighting two guys. I'm tired. I'm lumped up a little bit. And I look over this way and I'm barely breathing. Look over this way and all the fucking cops just watching. They're just watching.
Oh my God.
So this other guy come over, he's kicking. I grab the other guy, drag him on top of me, and I'm just choking him, you know, and like trying to use him to deflect this guy from getting at me.
Right.
And then realize this guy's out. He's not even awake. Push him off me, and now it's just me and this guy and everybody in the cells watching, and all the cops watching. So let's tear this fucking guy's ass up. We leave, and this guy never got up. The guy was choking. Never got up. Just eyes full of blood. Guard comes in. We're gonna move you to the gymnasium. So you move me to the gymnasium. So now I'm out of the cell block. I'm in a gym with 300 guys. Can walk around. I get yard access, all this stuff, right? And the cop says, I really appreciate what you did for us out there. He's like, that was pretty fucking amazing. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Like, I can't be in here. Like, I'm not going to make it out of this shit.
You're getting known to be that guy that's going around.
Oh, no.
And seeing your skills. I had a similar thing happen to me. First day in, first weekend. And I had to fight this one guy. Fight that one guy. Beat the shit out of him. And now they're like, oh, well, and now you're getting this. People are starting to see it.
Right.
This name, it comes with that. And now people want you to teach them. Different shit, like he's actually was in there working out with guys and teaching guys how to roll.
You're just trying to survive your time.
In prison, survival comes from instinct and confidence. Authority often watches silently and enjoys like they're watching MMA fights for free, leaving inmates to fend for themselves. And while some survive by sheer force, the next story shows that even instincts can be betrayed when trust is broken.
At 27, one of the unspoken codes inside prison is honesty about your health, because hiding it can be just as deadly as any shank.
Crazy story time about when my husband was in prison. Let's get into it.
This took place in Stateville Correctional Facility back in the early 90s. A guy named T was a homosexual, had relations with different inmates. Well, it came back that this guy tested positive for HIV. The guys that were messing with him unalived him.
I happened to come by the cell because I knew a sister. I would talk to her. I would go visit. Music was playing. I said, hey man, they calling you for a visit. Knocked on the cell, banged on the top metal, reached my hand through there because at first I didn't, never go beyond anybody's threshold. I just pulled the curtains back a little and I'll be damned, unalive. Cell full of blood. Pew, took off. Let the guys know, hey, they just unalived somebody in there so we can be prepared. 10, 15 minutes later, when they looked for him, he never showed up for the visit. They locked us down, and that's when the investigation started.
This isn't just about breaking rules, it's about breaking trust. When someone hides something as deadly as HIV, every handshake, every shared space, every moment of closeness becomes a bet where the odds are constantly stacked against you. And while hidden sickness is dangerous, the next story shows how even the people closest to you can hide truths that change everything.
At 26, sometimes the biggest shocks in prison don't come from violence. They come from the people you trust the most.
At first, I thought I was a bitch. Like, oh shit, look, got the CEO coming about that bitch on Jaja. Then I look, that's a, nah. So, when I get up, when they move me to the next day, they put me on a pod where I could still be a paid worker. Because they paid me to work. Boom, count the diabetic trace out shit. I see Lil Jan. Took his dough buzz down, but he got the training coming out that bitch. At first, I thought I was a bitch. Like, oh shit, look, got the CEO coming about that bitch on Jaja. Then I look, that's a, nah. On Shondell, the punk got a 30-inch in his head. On Tuka, the punk named Dario Lloyd, gang. On Lil Brian, folks. I know the punk because the punk used to go to Willdale Phillips with us on Shondell Gregory, folks. On my own. I know dude. When dude was a dude. You feel me? On Jaja. So what the fuck? No. Now look, Jay, he looked at me. He crazy on Joseph, folks. He on JoJo, let me holler at you. Come to the patio door. I'm all right back. I slide to the patio door. I'm on Tuka, folks. What the fuck you got going on, bro? He for JoJo, folks. We ain't going home, folks. What? He for we ain't never going home, folks. He Mook telling on us. He blood dead. We ain't going home, folks. I feel you funny as hell, folks. He for don't tell nobody, for merchant you ain't gonna say shit. I'm took for that shit. Ain't got nothing to do with me. For I'm just signing Alpha Davis for me, brother. I got you on JoJo. I'm alright, brother. Finished passing out the breakfast trays. But in my head, I'm on Tuka. What the fuck did I just see, G? Look, I didn't want to get my real opinion right then and there because I probably wouldn't have got the Alpha Davis from him. You see what I'm saying? Because he ain't want to be my friend no more.
In a place where loyalty is currency, finding out a close friend is hiding something as big as their true identity can shake you to the core. And if betrayal from a friend feels heavy, the next story proves that in prison, notoriety can be just as dangerous as violence itself.
At 25, some inmates are feared for violence. Others for crimes so disturbing that their name alone spreads like wildfire behind bars.
So when I was in prison, I was incarcerated with some of the most terrible women who committed the worst crimes, but this one is probably the most horrific. So the woman I'm referring to is known as the Microwave Mom, aka China Arnold. Real quick, I'm just gonna give a trigger warning because but basically, China Arnold was convicted of aggravated for microwaving her 28-day-old baby. Little backstory on how this went down. China Arnold was 25 years old at the time, and she had 3 other children besides this newborn. So her baby was, 4 weeks old, and her boyfriend, Terrell, her sister was like, why don't y'all go have a dinner date, or y'all just go hang out and get some alone time? And so she took the opportunity. Well, while they were out, they decided to go get a bottle of liquor and drink at the park. And soon enough, her and Terrell started arguing because Terrell was a little bit on the fence about the paternity of the new baby. The new baby's name was Paris, by the way. And he had found out, he was accusing China of, you know, having an affair and cheating. And so he was a little bit confused about the paternity of Paris. And throughout that, he ended up going off. China went home, and she got the baby from Terrell's sister, who was watching the baby, and she was just drunk, and she was continuing to get angrier and angrier and angrier. Mind you, Terrell was not there right now. So she ended up taking the baby, putting the baby in the microwave, and putting the microwave on for 2 minutes. If you sit and think about going through the motions of doing that, she had to open the microwave, put her newborn in the microwave, press the button, time it out, press start, and sit there for 120 seconds while her baby cooked. Like, what is wrong with you? So anyway, Terrell ends up coming home. She takes the baby out. She puts a new nightgown and new clothing on the baby, and she falls asleep on the couch with the baby. Terrell comes home at like 4 a.m. He sees China sleeping on the couch with the baby, and he crawls in the bed next to China and doesn't think anything of it. They wake up the next morning, and that's when Terrell sees burns on the baby and is like, we need to go to the hospital. So Terrell and China get up and they take the baby to the hospital. They're like, well, Terrell really doesn't know what happened, but China's like, I don't know what happened. She comes up with all of these conflicting stories, like Terrell had the baby and brought the baby home with burns, and then turns out Terrell was never even there. There's a neighbor that says she saw Terrell or China on the front porch at 4 o'clock in the morning when she told the police she was asleep. So it's just all not lining up. She gets locked up at first on child endangerment charges, and then the charges get dismissed and she gets let out because of lack of evidence. So then the baby's death is still ruled a side, and they just don't really figure it out. So fast forward a little bit, an investigator finds this case from Virginia of a mother that did the same thing, and all of the notes from the medical examiner, all the wounds on the child, the burns, match right up with Paris's wounds. So she just digs a little further. They send an investigator to the house, or right after they send somebody over to the house, a homicide investigator, and they see like a bat or some clothes with black soot on it, baby clothes and things of that sort. Now, keep in mind, when they took the baby to the hospital, the baby was still alive, but there was no saving the baby. The baby's internal temperature was like 95 degrees. It was said that the baby's temperature was like 107 and 108 degrees when the baby came out of the microwave. And so anyway, she has like 3 trials. She goes to her first trial. She gets found guilty. She gets a new trial the second time for prosecutorial misconduct. And then she's found guilty again. She gets life without parole. I was in the same prison as her. I heard about her story from everyone. Like, it was a pretty known case. It is so sick and it is so twisted. I was never on the same compound as her. She was in Dayton, I was in Marysville, and I'm glad, because I feel as if that is the most horrific thing you could possibly do to a 28-day-old child baby. Like, there are some sick and twisted women, but that one might be one of the most sick and twisted. If you want more story times about people I was incarcerated with some fucked up crimes, let me know, because maybe I came across a lot of them. So that's the story of China Arnold.
Imagine meeting someone like China Mom, known as Microwave Mom for the unthinkable crime of putting her newborn in a microwave. It's a kind of encounter that shakes even hardened inmates, doesn't it? And while crossing paths with a notorious killer is terrifying, the next story proves that in prison, notoriety can be just as dangerous as violence itself.
At 24, prison is full of rumors, but some questions never stop circling. especially about what really happens between officers and inmates.
So I've been getting comments and like messages in my DMs about like, oh, I didn't know you worked at a prison. Oh, I bet you didn't work at a prison. And I'll insert a picture of like me from my graduation and what I look like in my uniform. It's a jump scare. It's a jump scare. But since it's been, I think, like 2 years since I posted that one video that kind of circulated around of me working in a prison, I figured I would answer some questions. So I started working at a maximum security facility when I was 19 years old. I had to get grandfathered in because after I signed my contract, they changed the age limit from 18 to 21. So I had to get grandfathered in. I was the youngest one by I think like 5 years or something like that. Yes, men expose themselves to me quite often. That's very common when you see a female working in a facility, and it happens to men too. I worked there for about 2 years. I had to leave because I was dealing with some things on my outside of life that just, I was not in a good mental state at all. So I had to step back. Yes, I loved working there. No, I was not one of those dickhead fucking COs, but I was also not the one that was going to sit there and be fucking lenient. I treated you the way you treated me. If you treat me like an asshole, I'm going to treat you like an asshole. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect. That's just how I worked. Again, if I see it, it was mine. If I didn't see it and you just told me about it, I don't give a fuck because, again, it's he said, she said at that point. Unless I physically see it with my own eyes, it's out of my rank. No, I never slept with any of the inmates while I was working there. Not what I was doing. I enjoyed my freedom, ironically, yes. No, never slept with any inmates, never did any dealings, nothing like that. Never. And I know what people are going to say. Females only work at male facilities because that's where they think they're going to find their true love. I bet you slept with them. I bet you did this. No. I was on my P's and Q's. No. What other questions have I seen? Did I ever see CO sleeping with inmates? Yes. After I left, well, while I was living there, I had an inmate actually get a CO's name tattooed on him and like a little portrait, and I was like, come on now. And I had to train that CO, and I gave her a warning, and she didn't fucking listen to it. I think they're like engaged now. She no longer works there. It was really weird because she was also sleeping with the COs. Yes, that's also common. Everyone fucking sleeps together. It's a big fucking fuck fest. What else? Oh yeah, after I left, said inmate found me and sent me a picture of another officer that I trained in his fucking cell bed. That, no words for that. I can't. It's not my thing. If you want to risk that, because again, like, let's say I were to bring in drugs and I were to get arrested, and let's say you got caught with drugs, I would get a higher sentence than you because it's breaking, I think it was called like code of conduct or something like that, breaking oath of office. I would automatically get additional 5 years because I swore an oath, yada yada yada. And I know that people are probably going to be like, oh, Melissa, but you like felons now. Like, yes, I've always had if you have some sort of background, I'm intrigued by you, right? Doesn't mean that while I was working there, I was automatically prowling on them. No, like, I'm too much of a clingy motherfucker for you to be locked up and me want to be with you. Just, weirdest thing I've ever seen in a prison, my sergeant and lieutenant fucking in the yard. Yes, at the corner of a building, I saw them doing the do. I don't want to get gruesome. Like, I have like fucking weird stories, but I don't want to just throw that out there unless y'all like are wanting those. But like, if you guys have more questions, like, let me know. It was very interesting being like the youngest person there. For my ranking, I was a CO2. I was also an FTO. I was on my way to taking my sergeant's test right before I left. So I would have been Sergeant Skinner. Scary.
That's good at what I did. I was good. I was protected. I was very protected. People did not fuck around when it came to me. If they got, like, there was a kite written on me one day. A kite is pretty much like, I would say that it's equivalent to like a hit list. They write on a note saying, oh, do this to this person, and they would bring it to people who they fucked with, and like if they were in the same like affiliation, it would get carried out. They wrote a kite, brought it up to my building. They pretty much just tore it up and was like, whoever fucking do this shit to Skinner ever again, you won't be alive to write another. They fucked with me. And it's not just because I was a female, it's just because I treated people with respect. It's not... If you're a fucking CO and you're gonna fucking treat people like a fucking dick, you got what you got coming to you. I'm just gonna say that. That's their house. You're just there to make peace among people, even though it's unpreventable. It's their house. Treat them with fucking respect. Because, again, if you were in a situation where you needed your fucking officers there with you, the first people that are going to be there with you are going to be those inmates, and they're most likely going to save your lives if they fuck with you and you treat them with respect. Because those COs, it's going to take a little bit unless they're in the same yard with you. And sometimes they're going to get scared and just sit there and stare. I've had that happen. Not towards me, but I've seen it fucking happen. Some of them just get fucking scared fright and they just freeze. Be nice to the fucking inmates. Don't be a fucking asshole. This was back when I graduated BCOT. Yeah, that's my uniform. That was when I was a CO1. This was me in my uniform. I was working at a hospital post. That's why I had my phone on me. When you go to a hospital post, there's going to be one male, one female. And that female is going to have the Glock to carry. I guess it's because the men are supposed to have more muscle power and the female's going to have the gun, just because that's just, I guess, how that works. But that's me. That's about as normal as I'm going to ever look in my life. But yeah, there you go.
Hearing a correctional officer finally break the silence shows how blurred the lines can get behind bars. When authority and inmates mix, the power dynamics create situations most people on the outside can't even imagine. Here's my question to you. Why the fuck do they even do that? Let me know in the comments. And while her answers give us a glimpse into the hidden side of prison life, the next story exposes the blurred lines between authority and those they oversee.
At 23, not every prison horror is violence. Sometimes it's the humiliation, the sounds, and the silence you're forced to live with.
And if you ever look at any of the documentaries on television and you see where the bars are, where it's open bars and all of that, and I literally had to like bite down on the pillow or whatever it was not to like make no noise and scream, because I don't want to come out of the cell and be embarrassed, but it wasn't just me. You would hear this like throughout the night. So I don't know who sat up there and said some shit talking about, oh no, it don't happen like that no more. No, use a motherfucking lie. That's not even a story that I don't even like to tell this story.
This moment shows how prison strips away dignity. You're surrounded by chaos, forced to suppress even human reactions while the walls echo with reminders of what's happening to others. It's survival, but at a deep, personal cost. And while this inmate tried to bury the shame in silence, the next story reveals how silence can eat away at a person even when no one is touching them.
At 22, the worst thing in prison isn't always the violence. Sometimes it's the silence that eats you alive.
The worst thing I saw in prison, it wasn't the fighting, the stabbing, the screaming in the middle of the night. It was the silence, the kind that when a man finds out his mom died, so he just stares at the wall and he can't cry because he shed all them tears years ago. It was watching people break slowly, You see it in their eyes. The hope leaves. Then their voice gets quiet and they stop talking altogether. I saw men forget how to laugh. I saw birthdays and holidays, no visits, no mail, no calls, no nothing, and everyone on the outside forgets to even exist. I saw people hang pictures on the walls of people that stopped caring about them a long time ago, just to trick themselves into thinking someone still cares about them. I seen people in segregation start talking to the walls just because that's the only conversation they had left. I saw young kids come in, full of fire, full of fight, turn slowly into cold. Because the system teaches you, if you care, you get crushed. The worst thing I saw in prison, the way it kills a man without even laying one hand on him. That kind of death is slow. It's spiritual. I survived that, but some don't. Some people are in there still right now, to this day, this very second, going through them dark times. So when I say I'm out here in the free world and I'm free, I don't mean I'm free out here. I mean I'm free in here. And just remember, that's the only freedom they can't take from me.
This is prison's deepest wound. It doesn't just break your body, it breaks your spirit. When birthdays mean nothing, when laughter disappears, when talking to the walls feels normal. And while silence can destroy a man from the inside out, the next story proves that when rules are broken behind bars, consequences aren't just physical, they're personal and unpredictable.
At 21, prison relationships don't always follow the rules. And sometimes, they cross lines no one talks about.
Story time, bitch. Story time on how I became the other woman in prison. Yeah, bitch, you heard it. How the fuck did I become the fucking Sancha in prison, bitch? Sit down. Coffee time. Damn it, they fucked my shit up. Alright, so it was my very last year, and yes, bitch, my man didn't know that I dated women to prison. Yes, he did. Remember, we were friends, you guys. My fucking man was my best friend. But anyway, let's get talk about this. Dude, the bitch seduced me, okay? I've been seduced. I was seduced. Yes, I was. I was cornered in the girl's bathroom. Okay, so I had moved into a different pod, and it was a 4-bitch pod, a 4-man cell. And I don't really like doing time with a lot of bitches, but I don't know why I put my guard down, because I always put my fucking guard down when I think bitches are cool, I guess. They think I'm thinking like they're like me, right? But anyways, so it was my last fucking year, dude, and they moved me to this other dorm, right? And I knew this chick, she liked me. I already knew, like, she was always complimenting me, right? And she was across my room. We were neighbors, bitch. And the girlfriend was like down the hall. And I already knew. They had been together for like 4 years. I don't care, bitch. I didn't know her shit. Shut up. Don't be like, oh, you're a homewrecker. How am I a homewrecker if they're in prison? Okay, so anyways, it was count time, you guys. And we were already flirting, right? We were already doing this little flirtatious shit back and forth, man. And the girls already knew it. The girls would hype me up. Them little fucking snakes, they would hype me up, right? Well, anyways, dude, it was count time and we went to the bathroom. Well, me and the girls from the room, we went to the bathroom. Why the fuck she fucking pull up in the bathroom? 9 sugars, 4 creamers. Keep that shit sweet, ladies. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. All right, they shorted me. This ain't no fucking gram. So the chick fucking went in the bathroom, dude. Seduced me. Like literally, you know, type of shit. Yeah, man. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, let's do this. And the girls in my fucking cell were watching, so I was like, you know, whatever, dude. She seduced me, you guys. So like after that, we would go into the bathroom and we'd be making out, right? And the girls already knew about that shit. Dude, I ended up hooking up with her. I went into a 2-man cell, and the chick that was in my cellie at the time, she was messing with a female guard. Yeah, bitch, there's some fucking lesbian female guards up in there that hook up with the inmates too. Yeah, that's some crazy ass shit, I'm telling you, dude. When you see the fucking female guards hooking up the females, yeah, I seen that shit 3 times, you guys. Anyways, so my cellie's talking to the fucking guard, right? And I know this shit, but hey, She ain't gonna tell you what the fuck I'm doing with the fucking neighbor. And I ain't gonna say what the fuck she's doing with the fucking guard because we're getting extra shit. We're like the favorite fucking cell. Dude, so I'm going across the fucking, my room to her room and hiding out. Like, we hooking up, right? Anyways, dude, tell me why the fuck these little bitches. No. The bitch leaves, dude. The main bitch leaves. She left, right? Whatever. I thought it was just cool, whatever. Nothing that was gonna find out. Tell me why, after she left that afternoon, the fucking girlfriend calls me to fucking her table at day room. I already knew what was up, man. I already knew, you guys. And she fucking asked me if I was hooking up with her fucking girl. And I said, yeah. I said, first of all, you shouldn't be asking me this stuff because I don't even know you. I don't know you to even tell you what I do in my alone time, what I do with my motherfucking life. But if you must know, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you shit. I don't owe you loyalty. I don't owe you respect. I don't owe you shit. Talk to your girlfriend. That's it. Like, talk to her, dude. Don't come at me asking me if I hooked up with your motherfucking bitch. Bitch, who are you? We don't even talk. We cross paths. Hey, Diana, you know? Your fucking bitch is the one that came up to me. So I ain't dating nobody. I mean, that's just how it is. And that's how it was, you guys. I don't ever know what happened between them, but I know when I got out, I still have her on my Facebook. Dude, when I first got out, she would be like videoing me at work or whatever, topless and shit. I'm like, oh, hell, I gotta block this bitch. I blocked that bitch, but she's still on my Facebook, you guys. She's still on my Facebook when I come busy and shit. No. Like, I'm good. I'm not longer gay. It was just for the stay. I was just, you know, having fun. But yeah, bitch, I actually was the other fucking woman in fucking prison. And now her fucking, the other bitch's homegirls would try to talk shit. And then they would try to talk shit on the main bitch when she was already gone. Like, why are you talking shit on your own girl? Why are y'all talking shit on your homegirl? And bitch tastes like Tootsie Roll. What the fuck you talking about? You know what I mean? I had to have her fucking back. At the end of the day, I'm like, goddamn, getting myself, what the fuck did I get myself into, you guys?
This reveals a side of prison life that's hidden from the outside world, where desire, loneliness, and power mix into dangerous territory. When inmates and officers blur the lines, trust and authority break down, and survival takes on a whole new meaning. And while blurred boundaries create danger, the next story reveals how identity alone can sometimes make you a target. At 20, gender and identity create a whole new layer of chaos behind bars. And it's not what most people expect.
They don't just look like, these are fine men, okay? These are sexy, attractive. You would like see them in Walmart and be like, babe, you are fine. Okay, they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. The only difference is they still have the female genitalia. They haven't had a transition there yet. So when you're in prison and you see 1,000 women and then you see what looks like 4 or 5 men, you know, in there, it's kind of crazy, and not crazy and like there's anything wrong with, you know, being transgender or transitioning, nothing, not saying anything like that, but because mentally in your psyche, you know you're in an all women's prison, but yet you see men in there with you, right? You go to get into the shower and you see going into the shower next to you is a sexy behind man, and it's kind of like, whoa, you know what I mean? But let me tell you guys something, and this is the difference between male's prison and women's prison. As far as I understand, I've obviously never been in a male's prison, but whenever I did the video with the correctional officer and we were talking about transgender women in the male's prison, you know, they are transitioning into women. They have their breasts and their long hair and are taking hormones. The only difference is for them too, they have not had the genital surgery yet, so they still have the male genitalia. The correctional officer told us that they kind of stick together. They stick with the LGBTQ community kind of group, and you know, they keep them housed separately to keep them safe and keep them protected, which I think is absolutely amazing and definitely made me feel a lot better whenever I heard that coming from a correctional officer. But in the women's prison, honey, if you are a transgender male, you are going to be sought out. You don't have, let me tell you something, if you are a transgender male or if you are a stud, and let me tell you guys what stud is, and before anybody comes at me and tells me that I'm using a derogatory term, stud is not a derogatory term. It is not at all. I've had hundreds of people that are part of the LGBT community, my ladies out there, have told me that you are studs, you call yourself a stud, there's nothing wrong with that, and in prison, stud is a term of endearment. Studs are highly, highly sought after, okay? So if you have these type of women or trans men that are in prison, you can go to prison, you ain't gotta have $1 to your name, honey. You ain't got to have nothing. Unless you've done some sort of heinous crime involving children or something, like if you really hurt somebody in that type of position, you're gonna get taken care of because the women are gonna be after you in there. They are probably what causes the most fights in there is women fighting over them, okay? So first of all, please don't go to prison. By no means am I encouraging it. It's awful. It's gonna be drama constantly that you cannot avoid. I will say that. You will not be able to avoid the drama in there, okay? So before I go on, let me tell you this story about this little old lady that came in. She was so cute. I wanna say she was about 5'4", okay? She had the straight up grandma haircut, the little short hair, and if anybody's been in prison with me that you know, please just tell me you know her. We don't wanna say her name because we don't do that over here and it's her business or whatever, but little cute grandma, had the little grandma glasses, the white, curly hair. When she came in, she was scared, okay? She was scared, had never been in trouble before. She had did something, got involved in something that she shouldn't have.
This isn't just about prison politics. It's about how isolation and desire twist the social order. In an environment where love, power, and protection collide, even identity itself becomes a battlefield. And if that sounds complicated, the next story shows how silence can be just as deadly as getting your dignity violated.
At 19, some of the most disturbing moments inside don't happen in riots or fights. They happen in the shadows, when nobody's watching.
You, I'm talking to the young one. Come here. Come real close. Come real close, youngest. I'm on the block one day. Old head, I don't want to say his name. He's still in prison. He's doing life. He was an OG on the block. Mind his business. Hands about this big. One of them old heads. All he do is lift weights every day. He go to work. He worked in the mattress factory. The mattress factory.
Loud or violent. Sometimes it's calculated, drawn out, and hidden in plain sight. For the victim, every second stretches into torture, while everyone else just looks away. And as twisted as that is, the next story proves that even sometimes privilege can turn into a trap.
At 18, in prison, beauty can feel like both a blessing and a curse.
Did I have pretty privilege in prison? Yes, I did. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not everybody's 10. Everybody has types. I'm not everybody's type, but I was some people's type, and so I had some advantages because I looked a certain way. I don't have, a super curvaceous body. I'm thin, so I got my uniforms altered. As vain as that might sound, I literally had them altered because I wanted to feel some semblance of femininity. I was gonna be in there for 10 years. I wanted to feel like a girl at some points, okay? But let me just tell y'all something. There is a downside to pretty privilege in prison. You're in there with a bunch of females. Y'all already know females get in their feelings. They have these emotions. We go through it. So you could literally gain a hater like instantaneously, someone you've never talked to, just because they're jealous of how you look and just because you're getting more attention than they are. And people that are jealous and angry, they might try to cut you in the face, they might try to beat you with a lock. And so having pretty privilege in prison or looking a certain way or having certain advantages, it could also get you hurt, and it's a dangerous position to be in if you do not use it in the right way. So you have to be careful and walk a tight line because pretty privilege may open some doors for you, but it'll also, it'll bring some people your way that you might not want your way, okay? So that's the lowdown on pretty privilege in prison, y'all. Yes, it exists. Yes, I had it to a degree, and yes, it can be very dangerous. I love y'all. The more you know, knowledge is power. See y'all on the next one.
On the surface, it might look like an advantage. But behind bars, every privilege comes with a price. Attention from officers sparks envy, and envy inside prison doesn't just mean dirty looks. It can mean threats, setups, and violence. And if jealousy sounds dangerous, the next story shows what happens when you've done the heinous crime of school shooting.
At 17, school shooters face a very different reality once they hit prison, and it's rarely what people expect.
What happens to school shooters in prison? This one is very different from what you would think. Now, I met somebody and became somewhat friends with them many years ago when I was direct filed charged as an adult at the age of 15. His name was Nathaniel Brazil, and he was in prison, but we were in jail at the time, and he was charged as an adult on the 12th floor. It's where everybody's direct filed, are all juveniles, and before they get convicted of the crime, we're all direct filed, charged as an adult. Murders, armed robberies, everybody's facing 15, 20 years, life sentences, death penalty, depending on when they do get convicted and their age. And it was the hardest time I've ever done, because you have a bunch of young men that don't even know why they're so angry, don't even know why they're so violent, and they're in a place as they're maturing and going through puberty and everything like that, and they're just filled with testosterone, anger, and they're also young and fragile. So it's like this combination, and it's just pure chaos, nothing but fightings and stabbings, and the COs or officers are getting beat up, constant just warfare. And we're all juveniles, charged as an adult. And when I met Nathaniel Brazil, he was in there, and this is an international case. You know, he was at the same school in the same county, you know, where I'm from, and he basically got into an argument with a teacher, came back and shot him with a 25mm Raven pistol, killed the teacher, and basically just said fuck him. And when he was in there as a youth, as a juvenile, he was a savage. I mean, he didn't take any shit. He was ready to ride, and he kind of compartmentalized it as, man, fuck that teacher, he hating on me, like kind of made it like that. And he was an animal, savage. You fast forward about 15 years, he's still in prison doing, I think, 20, 25 years for it. And when I came across him again later on in his bid, you know, he was fully committed to change. Now, some people use that and they lie, and as soon as they get out, they throw their religious books away. The way you can truly tell is this. If you change and get close with God or religion in prison, people that once knew you as a savage will mock you, say you're soft, you're weak, you're a snitch, you're using this as a check-in move to get help from the officer, or, you know, drugs will come near you. Anything to not better yourself, to be that same savage so other people can use you or feel better about what they're doing also. And he never wavered, you know, and he was once a real bad dude in there. And, you know, he reached out to the victims, and he was trying to really mentor the youth in there. And as he gets out in the next couple of years, it'll be interesting to see what he does, because he took that change very serious. And it wasn't at an easy prison, and it wasn't right before he came home. He's been doing this for over a decade. But you never know, you know? You just never know. Then there's a different side of things. There was these two dudes from Jacksonville that shot up a school, and it was a bunch of kids there. I think it was a middle school. But here's the thing. They came into prison like they were gangsters. And people hate school shooters because, one, you've killed kids, and everybody knows somebody that knows something about it in that area. It's affects somebody. The COs know somebody. It's affect everybody somehow or another in that town, that city, especially in Jacksonville, where they don't play. But these dudes came in, they were getting tattoos, they were acting like they were just hot shit. And, you know, I saw them later on in about 6 months. They went from being Die Hard with a Vengeance. One dude looked like Paris Hilton, and the other dude looked like Goldust from the WWF. I mean, they were beaten, turned out, used and abused. And in the beginning, they had like a squad of like groupies that would help them. All of them were getting extorted. They would reach out to the groupies, extort them on the streets. And since they hurt and killed kids going to school to educate themselves, people did not give a fuck. CEOs would help them get the information and try to give them leads on where to go and who to get it. And they were both just stuck in an endless cycle where one dude, I think, is in a wheelchair now from his beatings and just the amount of just abuse he took. And I think the other one is happily married in Sea Yard. Then you have other ones that are like the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz. Now, I know somebody that's in the prison with him, and this dude is really soft, weak little punk. He cries every time. He's always trying to take his own life. He's just always just pleading and begging and just saying, please, please help me. I don't belong here. And what he told me is he's very hard to get to because of the amount of media that covers everything. So obviously, it just goes without saying, they poison his food, but they cut him off from the world. That's what they really did. They took everything he had. Because in the beginning, he loved it. He loved the infamy and the notoriety. And what they did was they started fucking with his mail. And they would find certain people that were his groupies also. It's sick that people support this demonic behavior for whatever reason, which makes officers even more angry because they know some of the victims, or their coworkers do. And certain inmates will talk and say, hey, you want to make some money? Go to this place, check out this number, check out this Cash App. And they basically cut him off from all help, all just communication, nothing. Nobody fucks with him. And he might be able to make a call here and there. And from what I heard, he was trying to get a tattoo from another dude in protective custody. And I guess they say the ink was poison. He ended up getting a really bad infection. Like, he's tormented to the point where it's not physical violence. It's complete removal of society on every single level. And when you do that to somebody like that, that's worse than any ass whooping they can ever get. People are scared to write him, and if they do, somehow the mail disappears. You know, it's very, very mental warfare with that dude in there. I mean, he's a punk, man. He went in there and killed a bunch of kids that were trying to get education because you're mad or something like that, and then you try to make it like you're cool. Well, he learned real quick in prison that you're not respected, and his biggest torment isn't the physical violence because of all the interviews and lawyer meetings he has. It's the constant isolation, the constant just you're not able to get any groupie letters anymore. You're not getting any of your mail, your canteen. Everything is just constant. You're isolated. Then he threatens to hurt himself and gets put in the turtle suit. So he's really suffering in there, not physically, but mentally. It's very twisted. It is. And to see the different levels of a guy like Nathaniel Brazil, who I kind of grew up with in the system, and he looked at it like, you know, fuck that dude, he disrespected me and I killed. That's how he looks at it, you know. But at the end of the day, what he did was fucked up, and he truly knows it. He doesn't hide from it, and he's trying to do everything to better it, you know, spoke to the victims, and he's really trying to change himself. And I'm very good at seeing people and understanding like their energy, and he seems very, very pure in his intentions. Now, I've seen many times where people get out and they'll throw their books away, and you never know. It's just, you made a horrible, angry decision, and you suffered for it for 25 years. But there's a difference, and it's all bad, don't get me wrong. He took a teacher's life away from his kids, and there's a difference of seeing a guy go through the change. When I saw him, he was a savage, fighting everybody, stabbing everybody, ready for whatever. And then seeing him later on just completely walking in his own way, walking in the light, it was good to see that. Crying, shedding tears, not out of weakness, but he is just so disgusted at what he once was. So we'll see in the next couple of years what happens. But the other two from Jacksonville, man, they came in there like they were gangsters. Like they just committed a shooting, like they were some like thugs on the block shooting in a gang war. Next thing I know, one dude's getting married to Debo on the yard. The other dude's in a wheelchair. I think his nickname's Half Dead. And then the Parkland shooter, from what I was told by my friend, is that his biggest fear is being in that tomb of unknown. He's an unknown in there. His mail gets fucked with, his communication gets fucked with, his money gets fucked with, and nobody cares. So he threatens to hurt himself. He cries, and that's his biggest torment. But later on, as time goes on, when 20, 10, whatever years go by, that's when people don't even care. Who is this guy? Because another incident happens and another incident happens. And, you know, people don't forget on the inside. Like I tell you guys, time doesn't exist, only opportunity. The COs don't forget, inmates don't forget, and the victims don't forget. And people play the long game in prison. I've seen too many times where people have waited 10 years to make a phone call to get somebody hit up. And that's just how it goes. Leave our fucking kids alone, man, period. Yeah, this is a fucked up one. Stay out, stay free, us.
Inside, school shooters are at the very bottom of the food chain. For some, like Nathaniel Brazil, prison became a place of reflection and change. But for most, it's a nightmare. Extortion, humiliation, mental torment, and endless punishment. No matter how tough they act walking in, they quickly learn that killing children makes you the most hated person behind bars. And while their punishment may be unique, the next story reveals how choosing sides can cost your life. At 16, in prison, saying no to a gang isn't just risky, it can be life-changing in the worst way possible.
And I felt one get on top of me. And, they were me. That was when I got checked, so I didn't want to join a gang, dude. Like, I just wanted to do my time and get out.
This is the first week you got there to this prison?
This is the first week
They're approaching you to join a gang?
Yes.
So how does that go down?
So, I'm, like, literally, like, in the day room, and it's, I don't know what they call themselves, the Aryan Nation, the Aryan Brotherhood, White Power, one of those. And they said, hey, man, you gotta rock with one of us to be safe. You gotta put in work. And I'm thinking, like, fuck no, I don't. What do you mean, bro? Like, I'm just chilling. You know what I mean? Like, let's do our time and let's get out. That's the goal here. Like, can't we all just get along? And that didn't work out. So, like, I told him no, but super respectfully. I was like, listen, man, I'm just trying to get my time done. I'm not really trying to put in work for anyone. I'm not like that. I'm not about that life, quote unquote. He seemed kind of cool about it. I thought, like, all right, that's cool. And then I was alone for a while. You know what I mean? It was about a week and a half. And, I'm showering. And while I was showering, two people, one of them was the shot caller for the African American people there. They were Bloods. I don't know what gang they were affiliated with, but I'm pretty sure it was the Bloods. It was two of them. Shit, man. And so, like, when I was showering normally, and I heard them at first. I heard them come in. And I asked, what's up? I'm butt-ass naked, bro. And I asked, like, what's going on?
Are they naked, or are they just there?
No, they're in their whites and grays. And one of them turned off the shower, dude. And I was mad confused. I thought I was about to, like, scrap or something. I thought they came in there to, like, smoke a cigarette or some shit. And one of them just hits me. Like I wasn't expecting it. I was like, hey, man, like, what's up? And it was just a fucking haymaker, and he hits me. And, like,
what do you do in that moment?
Man, fuck, dude. Like, I'll be honest, dude. I froze. I froze, bro.
In prison, neutrality doesn't exist. If you reject a gang, you're seen as weak, and weakness is prey. That one choice, simply trying to stay out of trouble, cost him everything. And if refusing a gang can be deadly, the next story shows how misunderstanding a few words can get your heart. I'm serious.
At 15, not every prison story is dark. Sometimes the funniest moments come from pure miscommunication.
On the morning, I wake up in this motherfucker dick hard as a rock, right? So I call baby. I'm trying to get some little virtual seat. You know, a little virtual head and shit, right? So I get on the phone with her. I put my sexy voice on. I hit her with the key sweat joint, right? So I'm like, yeah, babe, I need you, man. You know what I'm saying? I need you right now. I need you to give me that. Ooh. So she get on the phone. She all distraught and all this type of shit. She in panic mode. But I'm fresh up, so I'm not really thinking like that because my dick too hard. So she talking and shit. She like, woo, son, pipe. So in my head, all I heard, yeah, come pipe me down right now, daddy. Woo. So I'm finna give her that diggling dinner, right? But the whole time, bro, she telling me her pipes busted in her basement, so she finna have to call somebody because it's flooding. Like, in my head, I'm like, bullshit.
It's a perfect example of how being locked up twists your perspective. When you're isolated for so long, every little word can take on a whole new meaning. And sometimes your mind fills in the blanks with what you want to hear instead of what's really being said. But while that story might make you laugh, the next one shows how the system itself can punish without violence.
At 14, sometimes the system itself can feel like the biggest punishment.
On April 12, 2017, About 10 months into my prison sentence, I was a victim of rape. I was violated. And I usually don't talk about this because, I like to think of myself as someone that can handle myself. I fought all my life, boxing, MMA. And so it's kind of hard to talk about. But when you're in a situation where the odds are stacked against you, 5 or more people, it's kind of hard to defend yourself. But let me tell you who did it. I think it's time to expose the people that did it and speak of the injustice that was done. It was my public defender, the judge, the prosecutor, the DEA, the ATF, the cops, all the people that told on me. I was given a 120-month prison sentence on a small crime. That's a 10-year sentence for something that I did for about 7 months. And even though technically I wasn't physically violated, I felt like it. I've never been to jail, been to prison, and so being given a 10-year sentence, just the punishment didn't fit the crime. So that's why I say, and that's why I'll always say, FTF.
This isn't just one man's story. It's a glimpse into how justice can tip into imbalance, where the punishment doesn't match the crime. And while unfair sentencing leaves scars that time alone can't heal, the next story shows how identity can make survival even harder.
At 13, prison is already brutal for most, but for trans inmates, it comes with an entirely different set of challenges.
So I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to him. I didn't get a chance to say nothing to him. They basically just whisked me out. I tried to tell somebody I was cool with on the thing, tell Brandon, I'm gonna talk to him, I'm gonna find a way to talk to him later, this and the third. So like I said, I'm still kind of not knowing what's going on because they're not telling me anything. So when I get upstairs at PC, the CEO lady, the one that originally gave me the jumper, see her, she comes to talk to me and she basically was like, oh, you and Brandon, they saw you on camera. Other inmates saw y'all too. They said that y'all went in the shower. We viewed the cameras. We saw y'all in the shower, this and the third. I'm like, we was in the shower cleaning together. We didn't even do nothing because we honestly didn't even do nothing. I didn't even get a chance to do nothing. So I'm like, we was in the shower. We didn't even do nothing. She's like, yeah, but it's on camera, this and the third. And they were saying that y'all be messing around, this and the third. So I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I'm like, how long am I supposed to be in PC for? So she was basically giving 30 days. So I'm like, 30 days, mind you, PC, in this particular jail in PC, it is 22 hours in your cell, 1 hour out during the day, 1 hour out at night. I'm too much of a social person to be in, oh my God, I did not mean to do that. I'm too much of a social person to be in PC, so PC was just not the vibe for me. So at this point, that was the first day I cried in jail. And I didn't cry because I was in jail. I just cried because I'm just like, oh my fucking God, it was so fucking boring. Bitch, it was nobody. Well, it was people in PC, but you couldn't really see them. And the times I did see them, they was out. They let us all out by ourselves separately. So when they was coming out, I was just in the cell, just looking at them out. So we all just was never just out together. So it was just boring as F. And one thing about jail was being out on the tiers is what makes time go by fast. So that's why I never minded being in jail. So it's just I'm gonna always have fun. Spades, Monopoly, whatever. You gotta make the best of it. So I was at PC for a week. During that time, I was over my lace. I started taking my braids out so the sewing can come out. This is when I used to always get my hair sewed in. Take my lace so my sewing can come out. I'm basically just ready to get out. I didn't even stay in PC the whole 30 days. I got out 2 weeks later. Mama got me out this and the third. So the rule is, as soon as you get out of jail, you can't see an inmate for at least 2 weeks. Y'all know 2 weeks later, I was up there seeing my man. Yes, I was. See, he only saw me in jail. I had to come and show him what I give outside of jail. So, I come bundle, beat, designer. I come there, da-da-da. So he just smiled all the shit behind the glass. Yo, you look good. This, he always felt like I look good, but it was now he see me outside of jail. Now you see what I get into. So we kind of kept this up. I was coming to see him this and the third. The thing was, he kept lying about when he was coming home. He kept saying he was coming home right after me. I got out in August of 2017. Y'all wanna know when he got out? The end of last year, 2022. You kept telling me you were about to come home and you knew you about to come home. So you try to like manipulate me into keep coming to see you and keep putting money on the phone, this and the third. Like, no, that's just not going to work for me. It's just not going to work for me. I'm sorry. And it wasn't that I didn't like him, just like that. It was just like, I was so into him in jail. I was ready for our life outside of jail. Love after lockup. But it was like, you just kept lying about when you was coming home. So even when he did come home, he reached out like, I'm out, what's up, this and that. I'm like, boy, so much time to already pass. Like, I don't even like, come on, like, I don't even look at, like, it's not even those types of same vibes. But, yeah, that's pretty much just how, jail went. I feel like no trans girl should ever be scared to go to jail. If you cute, you have nothing to worry about. Even if you're not cute, you still ain't really got nothing to worry about. So for me, overall, jail has never been like a bad experience for me. I've never had like I said, I've been like a few times, even prior to me transitioning. Like I said, I used to be a booster back in the day. So, I got caught stealing a few times. So jail has never been a place that like kind of like bothered me or scared me, because I started going to jail when I was a juvenile. So I already knew kind of like what to expect. But at this day and age now, jail is just like, I don't know, as a trans person in jail, you really just have fun. Like, you really literally just have fun, because at the end of the day, I feel like transsexuals are very interesting. Just how can you look like that when you are that or born as that? Whatever. The science behind trans people is just really interesting. So I think that's why a lot of people be like so fascinated with it, whatever kiss me have you. But that was my jail experience. If you know you're about to go to jail, just don't cry. Just fix your hair. Make sure you got legs showing, and just be ready to start the party, because that's exactly what happened, bitch. The party was started.
This clip exposes a side of prison many don't think about. Identity inside those walls isn't just personal. It can determine your safety, your treatment, even your survival. And while that story shows hidden struggles behind bars, the next story reveals how sexuality itself can become a weapon.
At 12, prison creates a strange double life when it comes to your identity and dark desires. And this clip lays it bare.
So you've all heard the term prison gay. If you're wondering what's the difference between prison gay and real gay, absolutely nothing, people. They're both gay. Just face it. There's no such thing as prison gay. These guys come in there and they just didn't have the opportunity to do what they can do. And now there's no females around, so it's even worse for them. Now it's coming out. It was always in there. So people ask questions all the time about this. It's the unsuspecting ones. Big people like this that go to visit, they hug their wives, they kiss their wives, their girlfriends, and they go back to the dorm and they're slipping notes to people like that. Ask anybody that's been in prison if I'm lying. There's even some people that might drop in here and tell you they got a note. It's not every guy, and I don't even want it to sound like it's most guys. It's few and far between, but the shit does happen. And a lot of us sit back and we watch it, and these guys don't think we see them, but we do. And in the end, it always gets exposed. It might not get exposed to the family, but these guys out there, they're going to expose them. They're going to put them out there, and once they got them, they got them. It's blackmail time. If you don't do what they want, they're going to tell the whole facility about you. So what's the difference between prison gay and street gay? Absolutely nothing.
This isn't just about relationships. It's about survival politics. Secrets in prison are currency. And when someone's identity can be used against them, it becomes leverage. And if blackmail sounds dangerous, the next story shows how women's prisons have their own hidden battles.
Spent 10 years in prison, been out a few years, and women stink. So I'm gonna tell you guys the most shocking thing I found out about females in general that I did not know and would not have known had I not gone to prison for a decade. So when you get to prison, you are forced to take a shower. It's a mandatory shower. You don't have a choice in it. But once you get to your dorm, that's when you will start using the communal showers, the communal toilets, the communal everything, okay? When I got to the dorm that night, I got in the shower. I don't know what it is, but something about there being 8 shower heads and a lot of steam with no windows around and not very good ventilation. Something about all that steam and hot water hitting that really, really cheap lye soap, it just exposes you, okay? If you have anything going on that's not in check, the soap is telling on you. Y'all, when I hit that shower and that night, I looked around and everybody, because I was like, oh my God, am I the only one smelling this? Everyone's like, because that's a face everyone would do to let each other know, yes, we all smell it. It's not just you smelling it, you're not crazy, we all smell it. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at them and they're all like, and I start too, who is it? Well, it's not hard to find out, because once everyone starts to smell it, you will know that the person washing the cooter pat, the fanny pat, that's who's stankin'. That's who's stankin' it up. So the shower will be the first instance that will tell on somebody and expose them, but it's not the last, because you can also have a toilet incident, okay? If you are in a 2-man cell and you're locked in with somebody, you are going to, you guys have to pee or poo at some point in time, okay? The toilet's in the room with you guys are locked in there all night. You're gonna have to go to the bathroom. Whenever that person sits down and gets up and then flushes, it wafts everything into the air. So you just have these wafting arrays of smells all the time, okay? And when things waft, they wave to you. It waves. It's like a wavy, smelly wave to your direction. So whether you go on the toilet behind somebody else and they leave that lingering smell there, or you're in a cell with somebody, you're gonna smell it on a toilet. I don't know. It's like the toilet just holds the smell. You're gonna smell it. There's also just the random occasions when like women they're sitting on a bed and they just open their legs, or they like do a real like harsh motion. They get momentum and they just get up, and then it just wafts out of them and you smell it. Listen, it's not what y'all think. Everything that glitters ain't gold, okay? It's just not. It's not gold. You guys see makeup and hair and clothes and all this as a sign of everything is A1 underneath, and that's just not the case. If I can smell you, I know you can smell yourself, okay? I don't get it. If you have some sort of something going on, digging soap way up in you, trying to like make it smell clean or different, it's not gonna help. People out there, beware. Like I said, everything that glitters isn't gold, so beware. There's some stanky seafood buffets walking around out there with some hella good makeup on and some pretty clothes that make their bodies look good. They stink. Be safe. Be stank free. And I love you guys, okay? There's the one thing I learned in female prison that I didn't know about women. See y'all in the next one. Later.
At 11, life inside women's prisons is often glamorized on TV, but the reality is far from it. This isn't just about embarrassment, it's about dignity. When you strip people of privacy, control, and proper care, even small human needs turn into daily battles. It's a side of prison life nobody sees in Hollywood portrayals, but it shapes the mental toll inmates carry. And while this quiet struggle goes unnoticed, the next story peels back the walls to show how the system itself can break a person. At 10, some stories from prison don't just show violence. They show how the system itself fails people in devastating ways.
Okay, this is the part I don't fucking know of notorious women I was in prison with, and we are going down the rabbit hole of Terry Garco today. I went down her rabbit hole last night, and whoo, I got a story to tell. Okay, so disclaimer, I never met this woman. She spends most of her time either as a level 4, which is what she is now, or in RTU, which is like the psych ward in prison, like the mental health unit. But her case is not even the crazy part. Her case is crazy, but that's not even the fucking crazy part. So let me just get into it. So basically what she did back in 2012, this will be important. Back in 2012, she was at the ER and she basically was like, I'm tired of waiting. It's too long. The wait time's valid. I get it. Instead of just like walking out or even just cussing someone out, she decided to attack one of the nurses who was trying to take her vitals. Attacked her to the point she ripped a piece of her scalp off of her head. Crazy, right? So anyway, she gets arrested out on bond. Someone bonds her out. Clearly in a mental health crisis, but you know, who's to say? Anyway, she gets bonded out and she was like, you know what? Let me go check what my slimy ex-boyfriend's doing. So she breaks into his house, finds him in bed with a girl, and decides to stab them both. Luckily, they both survive. But she did get an attempted murder charge. So basically, her charges on this case, so basically the top 3 right here, the assault, attempted murder, and felony assault are what landed her in prison. So she got 11 years for that in 2012. Right, the math ain't math, and you may ask, what the fuck is going on? If you look down here, and there are 3 to 4 screenshots These are assaults on officers in prison. Look at the dates: 2013, 2016, 2018, 2018, 2018, 2014, 2018, 2018, 2018, 2019, 2021, 2020, 2019. She has gotten more time because she keeps assaulting officers and harassment by inmates. What I will say is, I looked it up. So one of the assaults is for spitting on Mr. Jones. And if it's the big burly motherfucker that I'm thinking of, she's valid for that because he was a bitch. But this is kind of where the story takes an unfortunate and sad turn, and why there's so much information about her online. So Terry Garko has her own website called Prison Malpractice. So if you look up Terry Garko, you'll find the website. This is basically what she is saying in the website. And honestly, what happened to her is sad. Is she a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Yes. But this is not something that should be happening to everyone. And I think this showcases how horrible the medical care is. So basically, she's claiming you can read everything on this website. Everything. So basically, she is saying that she was in RTU and she was complaining that something was going on with her eye. And they weren't taking her seriously. The eye doctor at ORW wasn't taking her seriously. And it led to her eye being removed. So she was trying to sue for malpractice. Apparently, one of the attorneys she hired stole all her money. And I don't know. She did lose the case against ORW. To be honest, if you're suing ORW, 9 out of 10 times you ain't winning that case. But when I tell you, like, this is some of the stuff that's on the website. This is her receipt from her attorney. It is a rabbit hole to go down. Like, she has so much stuff on this website. I was looking up her for 2 hours last night. Honestly, like, it's like she's almost like in and out of psychosis. Like, some of these, a lot of the documents on that website are loose leaf, handwritten documents like this. There are some official, like, the lieutenant at ORW actually had to write an affidavit. She sued them. She tried to sue them. So there is, like, actual legal documents. But a lot of her stuff is just her rants on loose leaf paper. Now, I think that she needs to be in a mental health unit, but do I think that anyone should go to prison and lose their fucking eye regardless? No, I don't believe that. And this, I think, showcases how horrible the medical care is in prison. For all you people saying prison is so luxurious, prison is so great, you guys have it way too comfortable in there. Shit like this happens all the time. People die in prison from not getting medical care. All the time. All the time.
This story exposes the darker side of incarceration, where punishment goes far beyond the sentence. Poor medical care, corruption, and betrayal leave inmates with scars that last long after release, if they ever get out at all. And while Terry's story shows the weight of the system, the next story puts a spotlight on the real danger lurking in plain sight: the people in uniform.
At 9. Not all dangers in prison come from inmates. Sometimes it's the people in uniform who hold the most power.
I'm going to share 2 prison horror stories, and if you've ever been to prison, then you know that these are truly horror stories. So the first one was this girl. She was spending a lot of time in lockup. Like, she kept getting in trouble. Lockup is where you're there 24 hours a day in this one little cell. You're never in GP. Well, she was in lockup so much that her max out date was approaching. Like, she was about to get out of prison, and one of the officers and her had started dating. Like, they were in a romantic relationship. And as she approached her time for getting out, she was like, yeah, when I get out, I'm going to need some time to, like, get my life back on track. So, you know, for a while, I'm just going to have to cool it with you. So basically, she broke up with the officer before she got out of prison. The officer was like, yeah, absolutely. I completely understand. Like, no problem at all. Like, I just want to support you. Well, the night before she got out of prison, the officer came by and she brought weed. And she was like, I'm so excited for you. I got us a little celebratory, little something, like, let's just smoke before you get out, like, go out with a bang, blah, blah, blah. And the girl was like, that's what's up. And so they smoked. Well, not 10 minutes after the officer left, the police came in and they could smell marijuana, and they found marijuana. They drug tested her. She had marijuana in her system. The officers set her up. The girl caught another charge. She had to serve more time in prison. The second one is truly horrible, in my opinion. This girl had a 12-year prison sentence she was serving, and she was such a model mate, you know, like she did everything to the T. She finally her max out date is approaching. She gets out of prison, and she's been waiting all this time, and she went to go live with her daughter while she got back on track. Well, a week after she got out of prison, she gets a knock on the door. It's the police taking her back to prison. They miscalculated her time, and so she had to go back to prison and serve an entire another year.
This shows how vulnerable inmates are when those in authority abuse their power. A moment that should have marked a new beginning became another sentence because love and control got mixed with corruption. And while betrayal from those in charge can scar deeper than any fight, the next story exposes how even privacy can be weaponized. At 8, privacy doesn't exist behind those walls, and sometimes it's used as a weapon.
At 16, was it mentally tough for you?
Yeah, tell the young people, do not listen to your elders, what you want to say. I heard it from an elder man. Yo, you go gym, the man coming out big and swole. Yo, you have a laughter there. So you're thinking your jail's minor. When you get on that sweatbox for your first time and you go to jail, and that door shuts and you're like, well, when do we get out? And you're talking to the man at the window, now you're here till tomorrow. You're like, right, it's 5 o'clock. And then you're having shower with man and man are coming in naked. Yo, I like to see women naked. I don't want to see guys naked. Nah, ball bags and bum cheeks. Nah, what's that about?
Bro, you're gonna laugh at this, yeah, because I'm a straight civilian, as you know, yeah?
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't know the toilets were in the cell.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's the deterrent for me, bro.
Bro, yo, if I would have knew all this, if man would have told me the truth, like, yo, you're showering with 15 other young offenders and man are gonna come in naked. So when I'm doing that twisting shout, like, yo, don't try and whip me with no towel, or don't try and come behind me doing that fake, like you're bumming someone, yo, because I don't play that.
This story isn't just about nudity. It's about the constant loss of dignity and the fear of being targeted in an environment where even the smallest moment of weakness can be exploited. And while shower rooms show vulnerability in one way, the next story plunges straight into chaos when violence erupts.
At 7, when violence breaks out inside, even the staff have to decide if the job is worth their life.
I have tried making this video 3 times now, and it will not post. So this is gonna be my last time trying tonight, and if this doesn't work, then we're just gonna come back tomorrow. Can we have a story time on the riot that happened that made you resign? Mm-hmm. Sure can. All right, picture it. It's 2017. I just got done working a night shift, 12 hours at the prison. Also, I have shorts on. Don't freak out. Just because you saw a little bit of leg, don't get crazy. So I just got done working a 12-hour night shift. I was exhausted beyond belief. I was tired. I think that was like my 4th night shift in a row. And I was tired. So whenever you are done with your shift, you have to go to what is called Center Gate. Center Gate is just this little like cubicle building, and you go in there and you pass off your equipment, log it back in so that the next officer coming on can get that equipment, log it out. So at the time, it was like 7 a.m. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on at that time. There's shift change happening, which, by the way, if anything is going to pop off in a prison, it's usually going to happen at shift change. Shift change was happening. Inmates were going to work. Inmates were going to and from chow. So there's inmates walking around everywhere. Day shift admin is showing up for their jobs. I mean, just it was really a lot happening at this time. So I go up to Center Gate. I hand my equipment over to the other officer. And when you're out, if you're wondering what equipment are you talking about, I'm referring to handcuffs, keys, gas, radio. That's your equipment. A lot of people think COs carry guns. No, they don't. The only CO that has a gun is the perimeter CO. So I hand off my equipment, and then all of a sudden, out of the right side of my ear, I hear screaming. So I look over, and you know whenever you drop a piece of food on the floor, ants, they like migrate in a big clump like that. Picture that, but instead of ants, I want you to think of like 20 to 30 grown, scary looking men. That's what it was. And then I'm gonna be totally real. The next little bit's kind of a blur. It happened really, really fast. I don't even quite remember exactly what happened. I remember running into it, and I remember seeing a female officer that worked there football tackle a grown male inmate, which I really hope that she went to the NFL because that was the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I remember that inmates were trying to take over the dorms and like get into the control room. And so like the tactical teams, like the rapid response teams had to go in there, and they were like, you know, using like gas and flashbangs and like trying to get the situation under control. I remember walking out of a dorm. Don't remember what I was doing in that dorm, but I remember walking out of a dorm with like a couple of other officers and my warden, because he was there at this point. I remember he was on the phone. I don't remember exactly what he said, so I'm just going to paraphrase, but he was pretty much like, if any of my officers get hurt, I'm about to act a fool up in here. He was not having it. Loved my warden. Great guy. I hope he's doing well in life. So then I remember we ended up getting the inmates flex cuffed on the ground. If you don't know what a flex cuff is, it's just like a really heavy duty zip tie. And you do that whenever you run out of regular handcuffs, which we definitely had at this point. So we had all these inmates flex cuffed on the ground, and the warden looked at me and like 3 other officers, and he was like, hey, y'all go to the control room and get all those things. We were like, bet, cool. So we go to the control room, gather the things, and then we go back. And he told the inmates, he said, if any of you so much as sneeze, these officers have my permission to pew you. And listen, I'm gonna be just like totally real, because I like to keep it real. I wasn't scared during the riot. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't. I was absolutely petrified when he said that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was so scared, because here's the thing. I'm a normal human with a normal brain. I was not intrigued by the idea of shooting somebody. I didn't want to shoot anyone. We had this little old male inmate, poor guy. He wasn't even involved. He was just there, wrong place, wrong time. And he started like breathing heavily. And he like told me, he said like, Miss B, I can't breathe. I'm having a hard time breathing. And I was like, okay, I'm really going to need you to get it together, because I don't want to shoot you. Please don't make me do this right now. Like, I don't have the money for therapy for this right now. So, but he was fine. Nobody got pew-pewed. So we were good. So, yeah, they got it under control. Now, if you Google it, the Google will tell you that they do not know what caused the riot, because officials will not say. I'll tell you what caused the riot. The riot was a gang riot. It was because the Crips and the Bloods, you know, they don't exactly get along. Well, a higher up in the Bloods had been in a prison in California. Now, for those of you that don't know, and I'm not going to pretend like I know it all, because I was not a gang specialist. It's not like one prison has its gangs, and then this prison has its gangs, and then that prison has its gangs. No, there's prison gangs, and it goes all across America, maybe even the world, not sure. So you got like your Bloods, your Crips, your white supremacists, your like Mexican mafia. You got like all your gangs, right? So this was a gang-related riot. What happened in California trickled down into Florida, and it started a whole fight. That's what caused it. I don't know if they had planned on things popping off at that time, or if things just conveniently popped off at that time. But either way, it got crazy. So we had one inmate got, not by an officer, that was by another inmate. No officers were seriously injured. There was a couple that were hurt. One guy I worked with who I really liked, he was stabbed. He was okay though. But I think that the one thing that like people don't really consider when they think of a prison riot is like the aftermath of a prison riot. Because like one of the things that happened after that was that inmates were putting hits out on officers. After that, I wasn't one of them. But yeah, people were putting hits out on officers and like offering like big money, like big money to have those officers. Obviously it never happened, but I'm just saying. Yeah, so that was the prison riot. I was supposed to be there for a 12-hour shift. I believe I ended up being there for about 17, 18 hours maybe. We ended up having like 3 other counties of cops come in to try to help de-escalate the situation. It all ended up working out. Everything was fine. The prison stayed on lockdown for a really long time after that. And the reason that I resigned, it's not like I was loving that job and then that riot happened and it like traumatized me into resigning. It wasn't one of those situations. I was kind of already getting ready to leave. A lot of things were happening that I didn't like. A lot of things were going on that I did not agree with. And I was getting in trouble for speaking my mind about said things that I did not agree with. So I was already like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then whenever the actual riot happened, my poor mother was like calling up there, because every single day that I got off work, I immediately called my mom to let her know like, hey, I'm good. I'm going home to get some sleep. She just needed to hear that I'm safe, which every mom on here, you know, can understand that. She just wanted to know that I was safe. So when I had not called her she started calling the prison. And when I say she was calling the prison, she was blowing the prison up. And they finally were like, ma'am, we don't have time to let you know if your baby doll is okay. Okay. Like we have people like trying to kill people out here right now. So you just gonna have to chill. And I remember like driving home afterwards and being like, I could have very easily not made it home today to my child over this. Like I could have been today over some grown men fighting. And I was just like, this isn't worth it to me. Like if you've ever been a CO or you are a CO, you know, it's such a mentally and emotionally taxing job that overworks you, underpays you, and it's thankless. There's no recognition. It's not like being a cop. You don't get recognition for being a CO. I'm not saying that cops don't deserve it, because Lord knows they do. But I will say I do wish that COs got more recognition, because their job is extremely taxing as well. And I just got to a point where I was like, this isn't worth it for me, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I resigned, and I have zero regrets. I loved the job. I learned a lot at the job. I met a lot of great people and made a lot of new friends. Will I ever go back? Absolutely not. You could not pay me enough money in the world. I would never do it. But I'm thankful that I did do it. It gave me great experiences and obviously gave me a pretty cool platform to talk about on TikTok. So I'm not mad about it. So that is the story. Oh, and if you want to Google it, if you'd like to like read about it, there's not much. I gave you more information than Google will, but it's a Gulf Correctional Institution prison riot. It'll pop up. There's like a million articles. So yeah, that is the story of the prison riot and why I said peace. Y'all have a good night.
Her story reveals how prison riots aren't just inmate-on-inmate battles. They drag officers into survival mode, forcing them to make split-second decisions that can scar them for life. And if riots show how quickly order can collapse, the next story flips the script on who's actually broken by prison.
At 6. Ever wonder what happens to school shooters once they're locked up?
What's it like to be in prison for a school shooting? My name is John Romano, and I did 17 years in prison for a shooting I committed in my high school when I was just 16 years old. But my intentions that day were not to kill, but to be killed in a very public suicide by cop. Very disturbing, and I traumatized countless people, not only the students and staff who were there, but their family and friends and the community as a whole. And I've done what I can to turn my life around, but at the end of the day, I did my time, right? And when I was in county jail, I was 16, held with adults. They put me in a medical unit to be observed for mental health purposes, and I'm with adults. But same time, I was also baby-faced, barely had to shave, and a lot of these guys, they saw that. They also knew that nobody was seriously injured in the shooting, so they took me under their wing, a lot of them. And guys wanted to like show me how to bid, show you how to do time in jail. I didn't really run into a lot of problems. You know, some people obviously were upset and saying things, but nobody came at me in a serious manner though. And when I went into the state prison system, I got my GED and I actually became a teacher's aide and was helping other inmates get their GED. And I started to kind of like feel a sense of purpose and meaning and helping myself and helping other people. And guys respected that. Not to mention too, I'm also 6'4". I'm a big guy. Now that doesn't prevent anybody from getting hurt in prison, but let's just say the bullies are a lot less likely to go after a bigger guy than a smaller guy. You know what I mean? But I'm a pretty laid back guy for the most part. I worked a lot on my mental health, and guys also respected that. It's usually something that's not talked about in prison, but I did what I could to read up on a lot of material, take whatever programming was available, go after my college degree, and continue to turn my life around for the better. And people saw that, respected it, and encouraged me, dude, when you get out, you got to do what you can to help people, to turn things around, and to really change things for the better. And that's what I've been trying to do. So, you know, to all the guys I left behind in there, I appreciate all the support, but mainly, you know, my family helped me turn my life around. So I wish I'd been more open and honest and had done what I needed to do to work on my mental health before I traumatized people, but I'm doing what I can now.
His story flips the script. Instead of being destroyed by prison, he was reshaped by it. A rare case where the system forced growth instead of collapse. And while some find a way to rebuild, the next story reveals how even the smallest prison interaction can come with a heavy price.
At 5. Think prisoners are cut off from the outside world? Well, not exactly.
Okay, y'all, have y'all seen the guy who's on TikTok? I will try and find his stuff and like leave it down here, but he's telling like all these women like don't accept Cash App for people in prison, Zelle, none of that, because they're gonna get you and you're gonna be in jail next, right? And he was trying to warn the person, he said he was trying to warn the person that was on Love After Lockup or Love During Lockup. Okay, so I'm coming out here to tell my Cash App prison story. So, my birthday a few years ago, a guy that I grew up with, never dated, nothing, just grew up with, in the same neighborhood, things like that. Real good people, real good family. He's in jail, and he's in jail for the rest of his life. But he reached out to my brother, and he was like, hey, ask Karen, what's her Cash App so I can send her some money for her birthday. And my brother calls me. He was like, hey, such and such hit me up on Facebook and was like, what's your Cash App? He wanted to know, so he can send you some for your birthday. And I was like, no, that's okay. Tell him, he's in my head. I'm thinking he's in jail or prison. So he ignore this stain on my scrub. So I'm thinking he needs the money more than I do, right? Like that's in my head. I'm like, no, I'm good out here. I'm on the free world. I can, go to work and make my money and this. I said, but please tell him thank you so much for thinking about me on my birthday, And so my brother hits him back, and my brother was like, hey, Karen was like, no, keep it for yourself. She don't need anything. She just want to tell you, like, thank you for thinking about her on her birthday, right? This man hits my brother with the, well, I made more money in here than I ever had on the streets. So my brother comes back and he was like, well, Karen, he said if you want some, he'll send you some for his birthday because he made way more money in jail or prison than on the streets. So now I'm like, I'm good. Like something in me, call it discernment, maybe it was the Holy Spirit, but something with me would not let me take money from this man. So I was like, nah, just tell him like I'm good. Just tell him like I really, really appreciate it, but he don't have to send me anything. That's okay. So my brother reached out again, and my brother was like, hey, she's not trying to insult you. She's just like, she's okay. Like she just really appreciates you even thinking about her on her birthday. This is the first year he's ever offered me anything. I haven't even talked to him, this person that I grew up with, probably since he went in, like years. Haven't seen him probably since I've been maybe in middle school. Had to be middle school. I don't think I've seen him after middle school. So I was like, just thank you. I'm a birthday person. Thank you. He hit my brother back with, okay, well, I usually get purses or something. I'll send her something. I told my brother, do not get him at my address.
This shows how prison hustles aren't just about drugs or contraband, they're about emotional leverage. Some inmates are willing to throw money just to trap someone into their lifestyle. And while some can walk away, the next story shows what happens when power gets abused right in front of you.
At 4. Prison scandals don't always come from inmates.
Okay, so y'all, on today's episode of It Goes Down in the Prison, let me tell y'all. So I got put in restrictive housing today. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, restrictive housing is where the inmates go when they do something bad or they need like protective custody. They get separated in these small cells by themselves. It's only their bunk, the toilet, and the sink. So I'm in restrictive housing and I get to chatting it up with the inmates. Now, disclaimer, I treat them all like people on the street. strangers on the street, whatever crime they did, they already incarcerated for it. You know what I mean? I'm not there to condemn them even more. So I'm talking to this young lady, and I heard a lot of stories today, but this one in particular stands out because this girl is so young. She's only 24, y'all. The girl told me, like, she ended up in jail because she was addicted to meth. And one day she ended up tweaking out, thinking people was trying to kill her. And she ran around the town, butt naked and stuff, like trying to get away from these people that's trying to kill her. And in the midst of it, she ended up putting her hands on family members, like beating up her parents and stuff like that. So fast forward, we just chatted it up, and she's talking to me, and I'm listening because I like the tea. Anyhow, the girl get to telling me about a specific officer. Now here's where the tea come in at, right? So in restrictive housing, there's two sides. Some prisons have more. My particular prison has two sides, A side and a B side. It's usually one officer on A side, one officer on B side, one officer that's in this little box called the picket, and he controls the doors. But on this particular night, the girl said it was only one officer on the floor running two sides, both A and B side, and it was one officer in the little box in the picket. So now, this girl and this officer made up this whole crazy plan to kill a spider in her cell. Now, how the cells are set up is the bunk is lifted off the ground. So like you have to climb up a little ladder to get onto the bunk. It's like a bunk bed with no bottom, if y'all can imagine that. So their plan was her to be sitting on the bunk while he's trying to kill a spider, right? Now imagine while she's sitting on the bunk, he's tall enough for it to be face the cooch to crotch. See what I'm saying? That was their plan. So while she's sitting down on the bunk, he's gonna be standing up munch. Y'all get it? So she said, as she started taking off her trousers, okay, as she started dropping them drawers, she said the officer that was in the picket came out of the picket and was like, what is going on in here? I don't see no spider, blah, 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 and pulled the dude out. Now, what gets me is this officer had a whole wife and kids at home. That's crazy to me. But it's not the first time. It happens all of the time. These officers get up in here and they sleep with each other and they sleep with these inmates. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So I was telling the girl, I was like, tell me his name. Tell me his name. Like, what officer is it? What officer is it? She was like, girl, I'm not going to tell you his name because I don't want to mess up the chance of getting my box ate. Excuse me? And it's so crazy because the hygiene in the prisons are not great at all. They're not even good. And you want to munch and crunch on something and then go back home to your wife? I'm baffled. And then you don't even really, you don't know these inmates. This girl was addicted to meth. Who knows whatever else, what all she was doing? Who knows? I don't know. I just thought to share that with y'all because it was some tea for me. So I decided to give y'all a little tea. Let me know if y'all want to keep hearing more prison stories. I got a few of them. A few good ones. A few good ones I think y'all might like.
And speaking of abuse of power, the next story crosses the line between authority and the very people they're meant to protect. This shows how the abuse of power in prison doesn't just ruin inmates' lives. It shatters the trust that the uniform is supposed to stand for.
At 3, sometimes the line between guard and inmate gets disturbingly blurred.
Spent 27 years in prison, been out 8 years. Let me tell y'all a story about this time. This cadet this officer was in a relationship with me without me even knowing it. Okay, so I'm in Mike dorm. I'm on the annex. I'm living on the annex now because I'm close custody and everything. And we had a regular dorm officer and a sergeant, but I started seeing this other little new cadet like officer, right? So, you know, I'm cool with it because she ain't bothered nobody. You know, she walked the floor a lot and she just do her rounds a lot. So, bam, I'm cool with it and everything, you know, because she wasn't one of those that was just harassing people. So anyway, I keep seeing the lady. She keep doing her rounds. She keep passing around by my door and everything. I'm just thinking that, hey, she one of those that's doing her job because they do supposed to do 15-minute rounds and a lot of officers don't do that. So I'm just thinking, okay, she doing her rounds. She just walking around doing what she's supposed to do, right? So anyway, I wind up one day getting into some trouble. I don't know what it is that I got into, but I wind up getting into trouble and I went to confinement. When I got out of confinement, they didn't put me back in Mike dorm that I had came out of, gotten locked out of. Instead, they put me on the main unit in another dorm. So 2 days later, I see this same officer. So, you know, when officers come in, inmates, we sit around and we want to check out who coming in. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we need to know who coming in. Because whoever coming in is contingent on how our day gonna be, whether we can wash clothes or wash our sheets or whatever. Because we're not allowed to wash clothes or wash our sheets. We do it against the rules and regulations. And if we get caught doing it, we'll get written up. And some officers didn't allow that. So anyway, that's why we want to see what officers coming in, knowing, so we can know rather not we can do this or we can do that, or we just walk by the book. So anyway, she come in, so I looked and I was like, okay, she cool. I ain't thinking nothing of it. So a couple months go by, I'm over there in a new dorm now in the main unit. So a couple months go by, so she steady now. I'm in an open dorm. I ain't in a 2-man cell no more. I was in a 2-man cell over on the annex, but now I'm in an open dorm where there's like 100 and something inmates. So she keep walking around the bed area and everything, and I'm like, okay, she cool. She do it. She just one of those that do her rounds, but she cool, you know, because I remember from over there in the mic door. So I always, you know, pictured her as the person that just, you know, she just doing her job. She knew and she want to do a job, you know. So I ain't thinking nothing of it. So anyway, you know what I'm saying? Every morning I get dressed the same way I get dressed. Bam, she over there, she watching me get dressed every time I went to church or something, or went somewhere. I always take my shower when I get dressed. You know, back then we get these little magazines and they had cologne strips, like bam, cologne strips. You know what I'm saying? So I had like 100 or 200 worth of cologne strips. So I pick me one out, like, you know, little men cologne, because that's what I wore back then. Open it up, put it all over me, right? Smelling good. So anyway, be going outside and she'll be holding the door because the officer hold the door as the inmates walk out and everything. So, you know, I'm passing by and everything. So I see her cutting her eyes and everything. I'm like, oh man, I hope this lady don't shake me down because she done got a whiff of that perfume. So she might think I got some real cologne, but it's just the little paper samples, you know what I'm saying? What comes in the magazine, but she don't know that. So she looking. So I'm like, oh man, let me keep going. Let me lay low, man, because I don't want this lady to think I got some contraband. So anyway, bam. So when I come back to the dorm and everything, she looking. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I sit on my bunk. She ain't bother me or nothing like that. So a couple weeks go by. She called me to the back. She was like, Tree, come to the back. So I go to the back and she says to me when I get in the little hallway thing, it was just me and her, right? It was just the two of us, no inmates around. It was just me and her. And she says, I'm tired of having to chase after you. I'm showing you how I feel, but you ain't reciprocating the feelings. I'm tired of every time you go to a dorm, I got to follow you, but you'll never take the time out when they put me somewhere else to come see me or say anything to me. And I'm like, huh? What happened? What did I miss? And she was like, yeah, you notice every time you go to a dorm, I come to that dorm. Every time they move you, I show up. But when they put me on another post or something, I never see your face. I'm like, okay, well, when we started this, I mean, I didn't know we was in the relationship. Like, you know, you didn't tell me anything. You didn't send me a notice. You didn't, you know, me and you never talked about it. So when this started, She was like, ever since I was in Micdon, I don't want asked to get moved over there because when I first saw you, I knew it was something with us. And I was like, huh? She said, you remember when you looked at me when I was by medical when I first came in with all the trainers and you and we locked eyes, and I was like, okay. So I say, so what we got here? She was like, you tell me because you ain't the one reciprocating the feelings. I'm like, whoa. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. All right, now I know. So I go back out there and I sit on my bed. So anyway, she called me in. Before she was going home, she called me again. So I went back there. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, what you want me to bring you for lunch tomorrow? I was like, ooh, okay. So me, I ain't worrying about no lunch because we pretty much can eat what we want to eat in there anyway. You know, I already got a few officers in there, so I'm doing my thing anyway. So if she want to get added to the harem, I'm good. So I'm like, bring me Subway. And then she was like, that's all you want? I said, actually, you could bring me a little, one of them little pay phones, what you put minutes on. And she was like, how I'm gonna do that? I can't get that in there without them people searching me. I said, yes, you can. This is what you do. You put it in the plastic bag, right? Put it in a little bag and buy the sub and take the meat out the sub, because you know the phones was little, like a little Nokia phone or some little cheap little throwaway phone, man. And I say, wrap it around the ham. Put it in plastic bag, wrap it around the ham, put it back in the sub, bam. You come in, they may search your little bag, but they ain't gonna rummage all through your food like that. She was like, okay. So anyway, she get the phone in. But anyway, before she left, she was like, what you need a phone for? I'm here every day. I said, man, so when you not here, I can talk to you. Man, I was trying to get that phone to handle my business. I wasn't on that foolishness she was talking. But if she wanted to be used, then hey, I'm gonna go ahead on and I'm gonna roll with it. But yeah, man. So she bring the phone and da-da-da. So anyway, she called me to the back. You know, she kept calling me to the back. I was like, man, you can't do it like that, man. You gonna make me hot. You gonna make people want to put me in jail and everything. You can't kick the game like that. So she got pissed off with me. And a couple of days later, she came in. No, it was about a couple of weeks. She came in. She was like, it's over. I'm done with it because you still ain't reciprocating my feelings. I done did all this and you still, every time I go out to wreck and you don't even show up. I'm like, she was like, it's over. I ain't bringing none of this. I'm done. I was like, okay. Because what she had to realize is that I had time to do. If you think I was going to be one of those that's following you around, you had another thing coming. First of all, I had it going on. So I already had officers in my hand. I ain't finna chase after you and I ain't finna make myself hot. And then you got to understand when an officer and an inmate got something going, the last thing they want to do is be up around each other. I know as she was coming in new as a cadet, and that's what she seen, you know, with officers, especially the male, when they messing with a female, they got that female walking with them everywhere. It's obvious. I ain't kept my game like that. There was a difference between the inmate and the con. I was a con. I hadn't been there too long. I wasn't about to play these little games with you. So I was like, okay, it's been real. And she was like, oh, that's it? You gonna let me go like that? What you want me to do? I mean, you got the wrong one. I think you better call Tyrone. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm not finna play these games with you. I'm not the one to run behind nobody. That ain't how I get down. But yeah, I thought that was a little crazy that she just swooped in on me and just put claims on me, man. It was kind of spooky. But I went along with it because I know that, hey, this is a little cadet. You know what I'm saying? She got it bad. So I'm going to go ahead on and get what I can. And that's how it is. A con going to get what they can. You know what I'm saying? An inmate going to fall in love. Because that's what the inmates do when officers like them. They fall in love. They sucking their finger and walking all around following them like little babies. But when a con get a hold of you, they ain't with all that. They want to get what they can get so they can survive and do their time, man. But yeah, I thought I'd just tell y'all about that because weird stuff go on in the prison like that. Like, they be following and no fatal attractions and stuff. It ain't just out here. Don't think it's just the world. It ain't the world. It's the people. It's just in you. If it's in you, it's in you. It's going to follow you in the prison, going to follow you out here. So
this wasn't just a fling. It was a dangerous abuse of power. When officers cross boundaries like this, it puts inmates at risk and destroys the integrity of the entire facility. And while that was happening behind closed doors, another story exposes
to what happens when a baddie bitch, someone famous outside, goes to prison.
I can't take nothing serious. Ever. So here's a story time of when I got arrested. So let's set the scene. I'm in the back of the police car. The officers knew who I was. Celebrity status, if you will. Anyway, so I'm in the back of the police car. It's hot as fuck. She cracks the window for me. Very, very nice. I look at her and I'm like, are you being for real? You really finna take me to jail? And she goes, yes. Oh. So we get to the station and they bring me in. They gave me the jumpsuit. They gave me an extra small or a small. And I looked at her and I said, I'm not gonna fit this. And she said, you're gonna make it fit. And I said, so once I get changed, they put me in the waiting room and I'm sitting there waiting to get processed and booked. I will have to say that when they did take my picture, it was better than any picture I've ever taken in my life. I felt like I was getting a professional photographer to take my picture. And then when I did the fingerprints, excellent. 10 out of 10. So then once all that's done, I'm sitting in the waiting room forever with all the convicts, scared for my life. If I'm gonna keep it real, I feel like the reason why they kept me in a waiting room so long is because they had to send a security officer up to the women's gym pop to let them know that a real bad bitch was coming in before they transfer me to the gym pop. You know what I'm saying? They had to prepare it. So then it's time to transfer me. They tell me to grab a mat and they put me in this big elevator. We go up some floors and then we walk out into this waiting room and all that's in there is a bench. So I put my mat down, put my paperwork down, went to sleep on the bench. Oh, and also they did give me a blanket. 10 out of 10. Anyway, so after sleeping on that bench for probably 3 hours or so, they come and get me and tell me it's time to go. And I'm like, okay. First, I'm irritated because number one, I slept with my contacts in. If you have contacts or own contacts, you know how painful that is. Mind you, I got arrested, I want to say like 2 p.m. that day. It is now 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning. And let me just say this and say this now. I can have a penny to my name or $100,000. I can live in a tent or a mansion. Regardless, I'm still going to be that bitch, jail or not. So I walk in the gym pop with my mat and my paperwork with no chapstick. Very respectful, very nice, very cutesy, giving very much demureness. So I walk in, everybody looking at me, I'm looking back at everybody, and I see a bed. That's now my bed, but there was stuff on top of it. And I told them, I said, whoever's stuff is on top of that bed, you need to come get it and move it. I'm finna knock out. And once I get my bed, I'm talking to everybody, telling them what I'm in there for, you know. And then I end up going to sleep. And then they woke me up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, talking about some summer, breakfast is ready. They're losing their minds. And I'm like, I haven't even had a meal in a day and a half. Why, what's going on? Why are we so excited? So I'm like, okay, what's for breakfast? They're like, sausage and biscuit. If you know me, I don't eat pork. I'm like, y'all, you can have my breakfast. I don't want it. Leave me alone. So I go back to sleep. Then I wake back up, I want to say at like 10:30, 11, and lunch is coming. And I can hear everybody talking about lunch. Everybody losing their minds about lunch. And I hear everybody going to get in the trays, okay? I'm still half asleep. I noticed one of the friends that I had made has 2 trays. I can hear it without even opening my eyes. I can hear everybody gets 1 tray, and I hear she has 2 trays. So I look at the girl that has 2 trays, and I said, "Whose tray do you have?" And she goes, "Well, I thought you didn't want it since you gave us your breakfast." I said, "Give me my tray, Patty." So she give me my tray. We cool. Now what they served for lunch, I will never forget, cause I had to eat it. It was a cup of water with a piece of bread, a hot dog, a mustard packet, some nasty mac and cheese, some greens, and a sponge cake. Now I'm hearing everybody in the jail lose their mind over this damn sponge cake. So I eat the bread with the hot dog and a mustard packet, okay? And another one of my friends wanted to know if I wanted my mac and cheese and greens, and I said, no, if you want it, you can have it. I handed her my tray with intent that you're going to take the mac and cheese and the greens off my tray. You're going to hand it back to me. While she started getting green and started to take my damn sponge cake, I said, give me my shit before I catch another charge in this bitch. I got my tray back and I ate my sponge cake looking dead at her, and I realized that day why people in jail lose their mind over a sponge cake. After lunch, I'm kikiing, ha-haing with all my friends in jail. I'm having a ball. I'm having a time. It was Orange is the New Black, part 2. And then I got bonded out, surprisingly. They called for me to pack up. Why did my 2 friends that I was cool with, why did they want my sports bra and boxers? I gave it to them, but yeah, I left there with nothing but a jumpsuit on. Literally.
As you can see, inmates didn't care if she's famous or not. They ate her lunch without her permission. Inside prison, the rules are different. Respect is earned, and survival is the only currency.
Not all lessons in prison are learned from fights or chomos. Sometimes it comes from the mistakes of the famous.
I got indicted by the federal government for money laundering in 2022. So I did a little bit less than 3 years. I was sentenced to 40 months, which is 3 years, 4 months. So the federal government, you only have to do 85% of your time. If you're a non-violent offender, it's 65%. I literally found out that I was indicted while I was in Miami working. I used to dance. So I got a message on my Instagram like, yo, you good? And I'm like, what do you mean am I good? What are you talking about? Like, your indictment just went fucking viral. Like, there's an indictment with your name on it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, indictment? Like, what are you talking about? So I get the indictment sent to me, and it's me and 14 other people indicted on conspiracy charges for marijuana and money laundering and guns and so on and so on. I'm like, holy fuck. What the fuck is going on? So I'm literally like, what? Huh? What? My whole life changed. Literally, in the blink of a fucking eye. Like, I felt like my heart was gonna jump out of my motherfucking chest. Like, cause I'm like, fuck, my kids, I have children. What the fuck is going on? Like, and mind you, state is a whole different ball game from the federal government. The federal government is coming for your ass. There's no fighting the federal government whatsoever. If the feds indict you, bitch, it's up. Okay? Now, very far few in between, you could beat the feds. But 90% of the time, it's no beating the feds. None whatsoever. So, yeah, originally, it was a conspiracy for marijuana and a conspiracy to launder monetary instruments. So the feds, what they do is they stack you. They will put other charges on you to make sure they get you. You know what I'm saying? So I had nothing to do with any drug sales, anything like that, marijuana. But because it was a whole entire organization, they hit everybody with the same thing. But I ended up only getting charged with money laundering. So that's how I got 40 months. While I was in there, I did a lot of programs. I got my education. I bettered the fuck out of myself. I had 2 girlfriends. That's a whole different story time, baby. Whole different story time. Them bitches stressed me out. I was in Miami. And when I found out about it, they had hit everybody already. So it was a couple of, I think it was like 3 or 4 of us that were on the run. I went on the run for 2 months. Not gonna lie to you. Because I was like, I'm not turning myself in. They gonna have to come find me. I don't give a fuck. They gonna have to figure it out. Period. That's just what it is. But I really had to sit back and like, I can't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have children. What happens if they're with me and these motherfuckers run down on me and my kids get put in the system or whatever? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I can't do that. Like, it's too much on the line. So I ended up going on the run for 2 months. Worked my ass off to stack as much money as I could because I already knew what time it was, right? So I hired a lawyer, which was the dumbest fucking thing I could have ever fucking done. Because in the feds, state shit, hire a lawyer. If you are being charged by the feds, don't even waste your fucking money. Unless you have like a RICO charge or something crazy, that's different. But if you have like money laundering, like shit like that, like tax fraud, whatever, just go with the PDs because the PDs know just as much what to do as a paid lawyer. I literally wasted so much money on this fucking lawyer for nothing. So my lawyer was like, we're gonna set this date for you to turn yourself in. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything. You're gonna get right back out on a bond. Like, everything's gonna be straight. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's get this done. Like, when we gonna do it? Like, what's up? What's going on? So I end up flying to where I was indicted at, and turning myself in through the court. And the federal system is so long and fucking drawn out. In state, you get locked up 24 hours, you can bond out. Not in the feds, baby. So first of all, some places you can't even bond out. Some states, they don't even give you bonds, right? Some places you can do cash bonds. Some places you have to do collateral bonds, like you got to put a house up, you got to put something up. You know what I'm saying? Some places you're not getting a fucking bond, right? So where I got indicted out of, they gave bonds. So my lawyer was like, don't worry about it. You're going to get out. Everything's straight. So I'm like, okay. So turn myself in. Go through the whole process. 2 weeks later, my bond hearing. Guess who ain't getting out, bitch?
So I was in there asleep, and I would have got towed up if it wasn't for my homie. My homie came and woke me up. He snuck in my building. He ain't even supposed to do that. My building, like, get up. Come on, let's go to chow. I'm like, nah, bro, come on, man. So I get up. As soon as I walk out the building, you know, like, if you leave out of here, and the door closed, the guards got to open it up. You'll be in there stuck with outnumbered, you feel me? All the blacks that was in there was outnumbered. Bad. They got eyeballs knocked out.
I'm saying Spanish don't be playing.
Yeah, I'm seeing teeth, people getting stabbed. I'm seeing, brain matter getting poked out of people's head. Oh, it was crazy. So I walk out the building, and I just turn to my right, and I just see like 400 Mexicans chasing like a group of black dudes, and I mean, like chanting, like it sounded like a real war. I was like, oh shit. That's like, it's going down, it's going down.
So at this point, if you black, even if you ain't in this shit, you in this shit.
You in it. It don't matter how old you is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you black, it's over with. So we, all the blacks, and luckily, too, it was like all the blacks that work out, you feel me, from every different side. We was all together. Everybody was going to work out. So it was like all the hitters from all over was like, this where we kick it at. You feel me? So I was just right there in the perfect area. So I had a super team, like about 30, 40 of us.
Oh, so yeah, you good, you good.
Whoa, that's it. If this series shook you or opened your eyes to what really goes on behind bars, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Comment below, which story shocked you the most? I'm out.
You know, we're gonna talk about something that a lot of people get uncomfortable with when you speak on it. But there are realities in prison that are horrible. Horrible. This is why we do these channels. This is why we try to help young people not go to institutions and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's still a reality. This is one story about that reality. Let's get into it.
Gladiator game, gladiator game, gladiator game. I'm Big Lance. Tuned in to all the gladiator game, gladiator game, gladiator game. I'm Big Lance. Tuned in to all the gladiator game, gladiator game. I'm Big Lance.
People form bonds in prison, just like in the military, just like anything else. When you walk a yard with somebody and you know that that person will have your back 100%, no matter what jumps off, that makes you form bonds. It's a brotherhood. It's one of those things that out here in the world is hard to find. When a young man comes into a prison setting, man, he's usually kind of, at first, timid, especially if he's never done time before. Even if you have done time before, when you walk into a unit, it's a little overwhelming when you look around, you see the big tiers, you see the the bars and the concrete, and you realize that you are in a man's world. A lot of that tough guy bravado shit that you see cats carry around on the street goes right out the window when they realize that it's going to get them nowhere, because you are now in an institution full of murderers, rapists, killers, predators. There's only two distinctions in prison. That's predator and prey. This is a fact. People can act like it's not like that, but it truly 100% is. I've seen a lot of young men come into the penitentiary and get talked right out of their manhood. And they don't even see it coming. They don't even realize it's happening to them. They don't even understand that the person that they're walking around with has actually got intentions of taking their manhood. I've seen a young man come in, and the dude seemed like a solid cat. He seemed like he would go for his. 20 years old, man. We'll call him Mike. Seems like to be a good name when you don't want to put somebody's name out there. Mike liked to gamble. Mike liked to play the parlays. But Mike was green. He walked around with this dude, we'll call him Scott. Scott was an older head, man. Scott was somebody who had done a lot of time. Throughout the course of a few months, these two formed a bond. They would walk around the yard together. They would play basketball together. They were inseparable, man, like best friends. Every time you see them, they had laughter. Every time you see them, they were kicking it, dapping up. Mike thought he had a homeboy. There came a point in time where they ended up getting in the cell together. Now, a lot of times you can have a homeboy that you kick it with, man. You go to the guards, you go to the administration, you say, hey, look, we want to live together. We have a friendship, and we get along well, and sometimes the administration will let it happen. Not a lot of times, and this is the very reason why. Because they want to avoid predatory behavior. They don't promote homosexuality. They don't want you getting into relationships with people, because there's a lot of people who are, that's what they want. There'll be a guy who's doing a long sentence. He wants a woman type individual in his cell. Now, it will be a guy who will go to work all day, come home, and that cell will be clean. His laundry will be done, because he has a boy, as we like to call it. That's his woman. That's his property. Nobody else is allowed to touch that boy besides him. Mike didn't think anything like this was going on. Scott got right in the cell. Yeah, man, we're finally in here. Da-da-da-da. And it was cool for a while, man. Right? It was cool. But after a couple months, Mike started getting quiet. Every once in a while, Mike would come out with a black eye or a bruise on his face. Mike, who would usually look you in the eye when he talked to you, what's up, man, would look down as he walked the child. And he started to notice that the relationship between Scott and Mike had changed. The relationship had grown almost kind of like an intense feeling when you be around them two. They didn't walk the yard very much together anymore. And if they did,
niggas trying to go home for real. Shit ain't cute. Y'all niggas keep talking that shit like y'all about this shit, man. We in here for real, man. Shit crazy, man.
Knowing these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Yeah. Pray for me. Please. Pray for me. I'm knowing these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Yeah. Pray for me. Just pray for me.
More than ever now, I've been feeling down. Incarceration got me digging for my inner child. Respectfully, me, I say fuck the world. I've been around the block a couple times, and this is what I figured out. No one's ever there when you need them. They tell you they love you, and you are nothing more than to believe them. But actions speak louder than words, and broken English is all that's coming out of your mouth. So do you mean it when you tell me everything will be alright? Or is it just comfort? Sympathy is not needed in this life. Prison makes a man feel different in his spite that she cheated. This man is still living for his wife. 2 kids at home, he still listens every night. On the phone, daddy, we miss you, this just isn't right. And all he do is cry, sitting in his cell asking why he's in this situation. He would rather die. Visit every 6 months, the passion in her eyes. Say she'll always be there, but the truth is that she lies to protect what's left of his ego and his pride. But she don't know that he may never make it out alive. And honesty was all he asked for from the beginning. But in the end, a divorce was all that she could give him. 6.5 more years worth of baiting, waiting for God to open up the gates to this prison. Listen.
Knowing these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Yeah. Pray for me.
Please.
Pray for me. Hoping these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Hey, hey, hey. Pray for me. Somebody pray for me. Hey. Somebody pray for me, y'all.
That's all I'm asking, man.
Hey, pray for me, pray for me.
I feel the more I try, the more I'm falling back. A savior is one that saves, so I don't call him that. Cause I feel I've been left hanging like a fucking slave who was running for his freedom, but the rope is now a cage. Still on my knees, I pray for better days. Cause it's always someone doing worse, I try not to complain. There's music to my life, but the rhythm is the same. They ask if I'm alright when all I'm feeling is this pain. Right now I'm broken, homeless, feeling for some change. Talking to myself with twisted thoughts, am I insane? Locked up in a cell, and in a cell I will remain until they decide to let me out again. And I don't know what's in God's plan, but I don't see it. If life comes with a manual, I guess I didn't read it. Reality is food for thought, I guess I didn't eat it. No evidence in my case, and yet I didn't beat it. The agony weighs on my heart more than ever. But this is where it ends, from here it only gets better. I wouldn't wish this on my enemies, no never. Faith is all you need, believe in these 4 letters. Pray.
Knowing these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Yeah. Pray for me, please. Pray for me. Knowing these streets ain't got away from me. I'm hoping that God open them gates for me. Can you relate to me? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pray for me.
Just
pray for me.
Yeah. Real rap in prison, nigga. All that phony shit y'all niggas doing, kill that shit, man.
Pray for me. Pray for me.
Too much. I just need an answer, cause I can't be the only one. This is too much. Girl, I'm too much pressure on a whole nother level, yeah. Love me for me, don't be loving me for my pockets. Yeah. Money won't change me, yeah. If you need it, I got it. Stay on in dangers, I might just need some more bodies. Yeah. Stay out my way, cause I don't want beef with nobody. I'm on a whole new level, I'm a clever step, I'm moving with caution. Like copping new bezel and flooded with diamonds, I'm slicking on wet as a dolphin. I ain't wasting my breath, I ain't wasting my energy when niggas won't do too much talking. But I'm so sorry, I was too hard. It's in the cell, they thought I was in coffin. It's just too much for shit they going on. I did too much, but they still seem to treat me wrong.
Homie, don't see I'm coming, but I do. Them niggas is creeping behind you. Never move that work if it ain't your turf. Niggas shouldn't have to remind you. Them bullets is flying now. That boy is crying now. But nobody hears a sound. I see dead people. Never cheat on me, she said. She was talking to a man with a heart full of anger and a 357 banger in my hand. She put 2 in his chest, put 2 more in his head. She said if she can't have him, then nobody can. She wouldn't let him go though, didn't have the strength to hold on, but they gun to her head and squad. I see dead people. Baby, you killed my homeboy, so I gotta avenge that. Black mask, and I know where you live at. I went through a lot to get you, so I know I won't miss you. I'm killing whoever with you. Yeah. Whatever deity that my life. Dear Lord, don't let me die tonight. But if I shall before I wake, then I'll accept my fate. When I committed sin, my heart was in the right place. I did what I did to put food on my plate. So when they come for me, keep me safe. I see dead people coming out of their grave, wiping dirt off their shirt, still walking around the earth, watching they left for your girl, climbing out of their grave, wiping dirt off their shirt, still walking around the earth. I see dead people coming out of their grave, wiping dirt off their shirt, still walking around the earth, watching they left for your girl, climbing out of their grave, wiping dirt off their shirt, still walking around the earth. I see dead people. I see dead
Let me know, let me know. Let me know, let me know. Let me know before I go. Let me know before I go. What the road? Let me know, let me know.
Let them know the Glock.
Let me know, let me know. Let me know before I go. Let me know before I go what the road. Let me know if you're gonna hold it down. I don't need no opinion, baby. I need someone who won't stick around. If they throw me along sentence, baby, no hesitation and visitation. I need love, no competition. Let us in bitches through situations. Will you be there to fix it, baby? Let me know if you're gonna hold it down. I don't need no opinion, baby. I need someone who won't stick around. If they throw me along sentence, baby, no hesitation and visitation. I need love, no competition. Let us in pictures through situations. Will you be there to fix it, baby? Let me know, let me know. Let me know, let me know. Let me know before I go. Let me know before I go what the road. Let me know if you're gonna hold it down. I don't need no opinion, baby. I need someone who won't stick around. If they throw me along sentence, baby, no hesitation and visitation. I need love, no competition. Let us in pictures do situations. Will you be there to fix it, baby? Let me know, let me know. Let me know, let me know. Let me know before I go. Let me know before I go what the road. I can be stressing when I hit the road. I gotta have me a peace of mind. Let me know if you're really down for sure. If not, it's gonna be a little long ride. It's hard to function when you behind doors, cause a lot be on a nigga mind. My kid, my girl, my mama, my brothers. There's too much going on at one time. I can no longer sleep with your baby. I gotta cuddle up with design. Penitentiary overcrowded with killers. I gotta make sure I'm protecting mine. Need commissary, I don't wanna be little. Need noodles and butter like all the time. I just need you to be here, right by niggas. I can't wait till I get out so we can just stand on them haters. We don't need an invader. Let's focus on paper. Let's get the fuck off of the radar. Ooh, I need love unlimited. Me loyalty, no friendship. So girl, let me know it's so intimate. I need to know it's so intimate. Give me a green light, I'ma go. Baby, just hang tight, I'm in the gas.